Let me know when we're starting up. Alrighty, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? We're finally here after much anticipated time of waiting. It is week one of the Blue Otter League. We are on the secondary stream between Lotus and MSU Blåhaj. My name is Yanni. I'm here with my co-caster and aficionado of broken champions such as Ari. It's TDS. And TDS, taking a look at these two teams, this seems like it's going to be a pretty interesting matchup. I put these teams number one and number four in my power rankings. The Lotus is the number one team. MSU is the number four team. So I think these are two top four teams. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I feel like these two can bring something really interesting to the table. I do think that, like you pointed out, it is number one, number four, obviously first week. So who knows what happens later on, right? But as of now, I do think that Lotus is one of the favorites. I feel like their playstyle that they may bring, the champions that they play, some of the players that are going to be playing for this Lotus side are actually quite good. Some people may recognize some names from other times. So I feel like this team actually has a lot of potential. And I feel like today we may get a taste of the maybe not the full power, but a lot of the power that this Lotus team may bring.
Yeah, this team is not only cracked, but they are also jacked. When you take a look at the ranks of these teammates, they're pretty intimidating. Some of the highest ranked members in the league. And like we touched upon, their champion pools, not only are they fairly deep, but they're also playing the strong meta picks. That is super scary if you're playing against a team like that because champions are strong for a reason. You know, these teams are playing Jinx and Caitlyn and Victor and all these champions because they're inherently strong right now. So going up against a team where that's their wheelhouse, you're going to have to target ban some of those, and you're going to leave up a lot of potential one tricks.
Yeah, and I love that you bring up the meta picks right now because one of the champions that I consider right now to be the strongest in the position of the AD carry role is Jinx. And the fact that your AD carry may not be proficient on that particular champion, whereas the enemy AD carry actually is actually quite scary. I think that Jinx, you can just simply leave it open unless you have a really good strategy to go against her or a really good bot laner to answer her immediately. Kind of like the Caitlyn, so at least there is kind of like a blend. But overall, I just feel like Jinx is so strong, so powerful, and so valuable that you really can't just ignore her.
Right, and because there's no overlap between these AD carries when it comes to those strong picks, are you going to start firing away bans at them? Do you have to worry about other champions that other members of Lotus are going to play if you are going to take care of this Jinx and this Caitlyn? It becomes a very slippery slope, and it becomes very difficult to determine who you are going to ban, who you are going to leave up, and overall can really ruin a draft.
Yeah, it's really important, and I love that you bring that point because drafting becomes way, way harder the moment that you need to ban way too many things. Because when you cannot play some of those champions, you really are just placed in a situation where you either have to consider what you want to give up and what you can play. And when what you can play becomes so small, and what the enemy team can actually bring is so huge, it just feels so bad as a drafter or as a coach, or in most occasions, to try and play against that and actually try to give your team an advantage when the enemy team has so many more advantages than you.
Week one drafts are the hardest drafts to prepare for because you've seen no action, and these teams are rolling through the ban phase so far. Lotus has gotten rid of Shen, Kha'Zix, and Vayne. Meanwhile, on the other side, Caitlyn Jinx down, as well as Aphelios, and that means that Zeri was open for the first pick.
Yeah, and that was kind of what we expected coming into the draft. With the potential of the AD carries, there's a lot of AD carry bans coming into here. Like 4 out of 6 AD carry bans is actually so high, and Seri being one of the leftovers, to say it like that, when in reality she's not that bad, she's just like the one that was remaining. It's still such a good pick for Lotus, and also a takeaway from MSU because their AD carry actually plays quite a lot of Seri and quite a lot of Pain.
Yeah, and that becomes very scary because these champions, it's such a duality of what they can do. And Zeri seems like they're a bit more of an early game oriented champion. In the late game, you're just kiting around a bunch. You're maybe doing a little bit of chip damage here and there. Meanwhile, Vayne is a late game absolute monster. So that's something to be worried about for sure. So on the other side, it's Jhin and Nautilus were the picks for the side of MSU. Meanwhile, followed up with Karma and Jinzhao for the side of Lotus. So this is this is looking like a pretty standard team composition here.
Yeah, as far as it goes, we knew that Lotus coming in would probably favor much more the Enchanter supports bot lane. So the Karma, no surprise here. I was maybe thinking we may have a Yumi because it synergizes quite well with the Xinjiao and the Seri, but maybe with the Jin and Nautilus, you kind of fear the potential of just getting one-shotted early on, especially with the amount of CC that is down there in the bot lane. So adding the Karma to have a much more prevalent presence in the bot lane, it's kind of the idea that I can see with the Karma. It still works well with the Xinjiao and the Seri with the movement speed boost as well as the shields, and you can still get a lot of value in laning phase. Maybe not quite Yumi-like in the late game, but it's still really valuable. And I want to point out that I really like the Poppy pick because it works really well against the dashes that Lotus has already drafted, but also with a lot of the dashes that are currently in the game. So it can effectively cancel out whatever the composition may end up going into with the Poppy.
Not only that, that puts a lot of beef on that team. You're
Yeah.
staring a Nautilus and a Poppy. That's already fairly scary with a main tank and an off tank. And there still may be some tanky options left to pull up for the side of MSU. So the bans for the second half of the draft, it's Darius Victor for MSU. Lotus opted in to the Anivia and the Camille. Aurelion Sol picked for the side of MSU. A bird is picking a dragon here, it looks like.
Yeah, not quite a bird. It certainly doesn't feel like it's a bird. Maybe a reptile. So there's some similarities here and there, maybe. But Aurelion Sol, a really niche champion that has barely had any playtime. I feel like in the current season, and I feel like it's kind of what a little bit what we thought may happen with MSU because the mid lane matchup was kind of lopsided with the meta champions going much more in favor of Lotus. So MSU going for a little bit much more of a niche pick, a pick that you really cannot prepare currently because there's not many players that play Aurelion Cell. So trying to throw a curveball and make it so that you, with this curveball, you can win the game through just the unexpected factor. Also, the amount of CC that they already have actually works quite well for the Aurelion Soul because he doesn't need to be the main setup. He can follow up setup that is already there and chain lock someone to death.
I still can't believe you call a cosmic god dragon a
It's good enough.
Corky
Close enough.
is picked for the side of Lotus, and Corky is quite literally the best mid laner in the game right now. Maybe number two. If you want to say Victor's better, you can pick your poison. These champions are going to be impactful. They're going to round it out with Gragas as well in the top lane. And then finally, MSU, they'll finish off their composition with an Aatrox. So these teams, they've been fully picked, fully stacked. They got the picks they want. TDS, your thoughts? One of these teams looks incredibly tanky. One of these teams looks like they might not have the damage.
Yeah, and just looking at it, actually, just first impressions going in, we actually quite predicted what Lotus may bring with a pretty meta focused composition when you look at it. A lot of champions that we have seen in pro play that we have known and loved that can do a lot of good things in the game. There's a good late game power, maybe a little bit of weakness in early game apart from the Xinjiao, but overall, there's a good power spike from mid game into late game from the side of Lotus. Now, from MSU, I do think that their composition is interesting. They need to press the pedal in the early stage of the game. They need to try and be as active as possible because spiking wise, the highest spike of the game for them is mid game. If they don't have a good enough advantage by that point where they can just rush into the enemy and kill them, their late game, I don't want to say it's atrocious, but it's not comparable to what Lotus has right now.
Right, and realistically, I think this mid lane could be a bit of an issue. We talked about it in the pregame before we got into draft and whatnot off before the stream started. That this mid lane matchup, because there's such a strange pool of champions coming out for MSU, it might just allow Babs to just kind of have free reign of mid lane.
Yeah. And that's kind of something that you don't want to give away, especially with the current state of champions. Means that champions like Corky, like Victor, like Oriana, for example, Syndra even to a certain degree, champions that can spike the later the game goes on, it's something that you really don't want to give avenues to spike. And Aurelion Sol, even though has a little bit of pushing power, doesn't want to exist in lane. So the fact that you're kind of giving a free lane to champions that want to just wait till later stage of the game and don't get punished, it's actually so good for the side of Lotus. And Aurelion Sol is really living and dying by trying to impact the rest of the map, not his lane, the rest of the map. So if he doesn't achieve that, if no one dies and the Kirky just gets free reign in the mid lane and free farm and free access to gold, you're losing way too much just by doing that.
There is one thing that I think is a little strange, potentially dangerous. There are a lot of magic damage dealing champions on the side of Lotus. Like a lot.
Yeah.
Like Zeri's Q is based off of physical damage, but that's it. So it's Jin Zhao and it's Zeri, which on the surface seems like it can be enough, but as we know, Jin Zhao, while very strong in the early game, tends to fall off later as the game goes on. I think Azin would have a very difficult time into this team composition.
Yeah, 100%. The point that you're bringing out is really important because to add to the mid game power that the side of MSU has, if they get a lead, getting those magic resistant items is actually not that hard. And one of the most important items that got changed recently was the Malmorius. So the fact that now that item is stronger and your damage is actually based quite a lot on magic damage, if the Aatrox gets ahead, if the Jhin is in a stable spot, opting for the Malmortius or for the Hex Drinker wouldn't be a bad option, and instead actually boost the Aatrox up because of the now added lifesteal potential that it has, and it can make it so that if you have a lead as the Aatrox, no one can stop you in this island. It's realistically no one can stop you in this island anymore. So you really have to be careful about how you play against this, because magic damage is not something that can be covered up early on. Like later on in the game, when you get penetration, when you get a lot more damage, it actually doesn't impact that much because some magic resistance items aren't that great. But mid game and early late game, or transition from mid to late game in that part of the game, is actually quite impactful. And if the Aatrox, like I'm pointing out, gets ahead, it's going to be quite painful for the side of Lotus.
I suppose one good thing about Lotus's composition is that it's surprisingly good against Mercury Treads, because Merc Treads don't really do a whole lot against them, right? So yeah, other than the magic resistance, right? Other than the flat magic resistance, the tenacity doesn't really help you out so much because it's just Karma Tether and it's Gragas Body Slam. Like, okay, you could count the slow on Gragas Q if you want.
Maybe Cask, yeah.
Yeah, but that's about it, really. The tenacity is not going to help you out a whole lot, so it's kind of a waste. So if they go into early Mercury Treads, it kind of cuts down on MSU's fighting power, which we talked about. We kind of want them to get things going in the early game, so that would just be non-conducive to the team composition.
Yep, that's kind of the point where I just feel like Lotus composition, realistically, as long as they don't fumble the early game in a really huge manner, I just feel like their composition feels really favored. The triple that the Aurelion Sol is sending, even though it's fun and may work out, can just get destroyed immediately. So I just feel like Lotus is much more favored with the composition, and the avenues that they have to play the game are a little bit more balanced and varied than what MSU has, because they have one mode, and if that mode fails, the game is pretty much over.
Listen, some teams, they just have one speed, one gear, go. And it looks like Lotus they're hitting the go button, man. When you got champions like this, when you got mobility like this and movement speed like this, and every crazy thing that they can do in a team fight, really, we haven't talked about that a whole lot. Think of everything that they can do. You know, Xin Zhao can knock people away. Gragas can knock people away. Corgi's going to be coming through with the package, you know, busting up a team fight, splitting people apart. And Zeri's going to go off to the side and probably pick somebody off if left unabated. Not really a front to back fighter. And then meanwhile, Karma's just going to go around, make everybody move fast, tether up some people, hit some slows, get some gold, you know, and call it a day. And really, this is why certain team compositions are played in the higher ranks, in higher level team play. Like this seems great. Like if Zeri wasn't able, I'm not sure if Zeri is enabled for pro play yet, but if Zeri wasn't enabled, like this is the team composition that you would see out of pro play.
Yeah. It just helps so much, and it's so varied that, like you're pointing out, like it just gives a lot of avenues for the team to not just depend on one thing. Like I feel like if not for a little bit of weakness on the early game that Xin Zhao kind of covers out, this team composition actually has quite a good transition from early to mid to late game in terms of power spikes that they can play around. Like the only one that I found weak is the early game, and it's still kind of doable with the Xinjiao. In comparison to the MSU, even though their composition has a really strong spike in mid game, their transition from early to mid game to then late game is actually quite like a roller coaster. So it's kind of hard to be able to execute correctly, and if it fails, you just fall flat down into the earth. And so it's riskier. It does pay, but it's way riskier than just what Lotus is gunning for, and what most pro teams tend to go for with some compositions like this one.
That being said, you do need to be aware of the pocket pick Aurelion Sol.
That is
Not
true.
so not many Aurelion Souls are played, like ever. Like even people who play Aurelion Soul, there's always that joke is, like, oh, Aurelion Soul mains are happy or upset with this. What, all two of them? Like, this is not a champion you even see in your normal games. Like, this is a champion that gets re-rolled in ARAM is how
Yeah.
little people want to play Aurelion Soul, which does mean that you have to respect the champion because you might not be well practiced against it.
Well, practice, I feel like would be an overstatement. Like, I feel if you're even practiced would be surprising, to say the least. This is a champion that if you see once in 50 solo queue games, it'd be surprising. The champion is simply not in a spot where I would ever recommend someone to play it so niche in so many senses. And if you can make it work, that's great. But the thing that is kind of worrying me with this Aurelion Sol, even though it's a pocket pick, is Abert really doesn't play mid lane. Like we have seen a little bit of Abert's champion pool, and it's derived a lot about with support champions. And then I've seen a couple of champions here and there, like the Nivea that was banned, even Ari. But instead of opting for the Aurelion Sol, it's kind of interesting to me. Maybe it may be a decision out of desperation to think that maybe with this they can pull something incredible off, or that they actually have prepared. And I hope it's the second one, because if it's the first one, you are not going to be able to play this champion correctly.
Yeah, they were training in the mountains under the waterfalls, dipping into the dark technology to pull out this champion. And really, when you think about it, it supports such a huge roaming role now that Aurelion Soul kind of fits their playstyle if they're a support main, right? Because you're going to do a lot of roaming, and you can make hay in these lanes, right? You can go up and you can gank for this Aatrox, and Aatrox has a fair enough amount of CC in the kit to where you can catch the opposing top laner off guard. You can catch off accelerate, and then you can just move down to the bot lane if you wanted to, and then you can go after Alistair and Dunzi, and that's a lane that you need to be careful about. You need to be very worried about them. So perhaps putting early pressure on them is going to be the way to go, and Aurelion Sol could be an avenue to that.
Yeah, that's kind of the main plan, essentially. Like you're pointing out, the roaming support playstyle is so prevalent right now. It's pretty much a secondary jungler that if you're proficient in it, roaming mid laners would be much more ideal. So Aurelion Sol does fit that bill. The only kind of thing that I'm thinking is maybe wouldn't you'd rather opt for some other roaming kind of champions that are stronger? I would say every assassin is stronger than Aurelion Sol. I think LeBlanc fits that mold as well and can work out great. I think Rice as well. So I just feel like there's potential champions that can be better than the Aurelion Sol. It's just a little bit surprising to see Aurelion Sol, but when in terms of specifically roaming around and trying to put the team ahead, I do agree 100%. I think that that's the best way for this Aurelion Sol to work out.
What did we miss?
Okay.
There was a kill.
Yeah, we missed a level 1. That's interesting. That's a lot of the power that this composition does have. The setup in early levels to get the kills like that with the CC that they have. Like, they have Nautilus Q and passive. They have Gene W, which I guess he started with. And they have Aurelion Sol Q. So they have quite a lot of CC potential. And they got the kill on the Corki, so it must be just gunning down mid lane and trying to get the kill from what I see.
Yeah, that is... All right. I mean...
Great start.
Yeah. If you were MSU, this is exactly what you wanted. I'll take stock of the situations here. Nothing too crazy in terms of what the champions elected to go here. There were no summoners burnt at the beginning of the game, so Corki just somehow got himself caught out. I guess he took a Nautilus hook to the face. But the junglers doing their own thing, camped Gromp, just mirroring each other.
Yeah, and interesting now, I think that the Poppy and the Xinjiao kind of showing their priorities with the pathing that they're taking. Poppy, knowing that the Aatrox is going to be one of the main carries, gunning for the Aatrox is really important, and trying to put him ahead if they can is certainly going to work out marvels. Then on the other side, Xin Zhao, maybe to facilitate the bot lane so that they don't get ganked or they don't get pressured at any point, and also helping the Corki because of the first blood, so maybe trying to cover up weaknesses early on so that they can scale towards the monsters that we know.
Everybody wants to scale into the monster. That's the late game fantasy that everybody talks about when it comes to League of Legends. And Corki and Jhin have some of the best late game fantasies of them all.
Oh,
I think Aatrox does too. Aatrox is a pretty fun one as well. Yeah, you just kind of run around, get some kills, and not die. And that's just really what everybody wants to do in playing League. Yeah.
I feel like Aatrox fails a little bit on his fantasy because I feel like he is that, but at the wrong point, and then when the late game comes, he's a little bit more human. So he just kind of fumbles at the end.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I guess that happens when you get heel cut.
which is like pretty much everyone out of fear.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, so a lot of it just fits into builds without any issue at all. Taking a look at where these junglers are now, looks like Drops wants to do something, but he's hanging out in the area. Meanwhile, in the top lane, just back and forth between the Gragas and the Aatrox. Aatrox with a very small CS lead to kick things off.
Yeah, and even though the CS lead for the Aatrox is important, the wave positioning is actually so bad for the Aatrox because it doesn't push into the wave, and the wave is slowly pushing back. So the timing for the Puppy to go for the gank, unless she stays here for 30 seconds more, it's actually not that good. And that means that the Aatrox, they lose a really good opportunity to go for a gank, and the Xin Zhao may just get ahead of the Puppy in tempo and in just moving around the map.
It looks like that is the case as Poppy just starting on the Krugs. Meanwhile, Xin Zhao is taken first back and is going with a pickaxe. Ooh, that is looking to do a lot of damage early on.
Yeah, and Poppy with Predator means that she's not really going to be the tanky. I like the Predator option because I feel like it's not the most used rune, but it's actually so fun and so useful in most instances. But that also means that Poppy will not have the escape ability that she has with what is called with the I forgot the name of the movement speed rune. Phase Rush.
Yeah, Phase Rush. I was gonna ask him like, which tree are we talking here?
That is true. Yeah, there's more than just one, but yeah, with the Phase Rush, she has much more mobility, so escaping potentially it's easier for the Poppy. But that means that without that, with now the Predator, she's a little bit much more easy to catch up and be able to kill her if possible.
We talked about how this bot lane matchup is going to be the most important matchup with the highest ranked players going back and forth at AD carry, and so far, taking a look at the CS numbers, they're fairly even so far, although Zeri and Karma have managed to get their first back. A Noon Quiver for this Zeri. Going Ghost, oddly enough. I saw a Reddit thread about going Ghost on AD carries and tried it once and was like, wow, this is great. So I really like the Pinnacle Ghost. I think the advent of Ghost on AD carries is actually very nice. You get one assist in the team fight and you're like unkillable.
Yeah, and I actually love the Ghost with Zeri, not only because it can actually work, like you're pointing out, with AD carries, but in this game, the Ghost may come in handy so much because the only thing that you're fearing is getting cut off. So with the Ghost, with the mobility that the Zeri has, and with the movement speed passive that she gets, apart from all that, like you're just simply untouchable if you play it correctly. And I feel like Alistar is pretty much the player that we're expecting to play this correctly. Oh.
Uh-oh, here we go. Manages to get a drop on the top laner, Sparty. Sparty's going to, Void is going to have to flash away. And meanwhile, the rest of the team coming in, Poppy flying in from 2 screens away. Gragas might not have anywhere to go. There's no mana left on this champion. The top laner will fall. Sausage McMuffin picking up that kill. And what was a pretty nice gank from Drops, very patient. Unfortunately, a little too patient as everybody shows up to the top lane.
Yeah, and realistically, it's not a bad play by the Xin Zhao. They had the setup, like, before the vision got completely taken away, there was a ward and a ping ward in the Tribush and in the Reaver Bush. So they knew that they had at least a little bit of vision. They had the push in mid lane, so they potentially knew that the Aurelion Soul may be coming in. But the gank squad that came towards the top lane was actually so unexpected. It even caught us off guard a little bit, right? So the fact that they were able to pull off that play, 4-man gank into the top lane, turn around the gank from the Xin Zhao, and give a potential play or a potential kill for the Aatrox, even though he doesn't get it but gets the assist. It's so valuable.
Yeah, and not only that, take a look at the CS discrepancy in the top lane. It is massive. It is a canyon right now. If you're Lotus, you're not too upset, right? The kill went over to Sausage McMuffin. This is a 2-kill Nautilus, which is not the
How did it get
scariest
bored?
thing in the world. But I mean, you ever feed a Sausage McMuffin 2 kills? That's not good. Wait, I forgot. I forgot you don't have Sausage McMuffins. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I didn't mean to.
I'm not the best person to ask this.
It's okay. They're not good anyway. They're overrated. I'm sure somebody in chat will at least agree with me, right? It just has to be.
Yeah, there's enough people to be right to agree with you on that one. I don't know, so I can follow up. What I know is that I do agree. Giving 2 kills to the support more than likely not the best of options, especially when you're actually relying so much on the Aatrox spiking in the mid game. So it's the positive outlook for Lotus, but still they are losing quite a lot, not only for the kills, but the pressure that the map is getting. They are losing in tempo, they are losing in some instances of vision control, and the fact that now they have pushing waves in top lane and a little bit in bot lane means that this dragon gets secured.
Yeah, and that's really not the greatest thing in the world when you have a Jin Zhao as your jungler. It feels like if you're behind when that's happening, that's not the game plan. The game plan is for Jin Zhao to go through, get a bunch of ganks down, get a bunch of kills early on, and then parlay that power into assists later. And that is not happening for Lotus here. They're having a lot of trouble getting started.
Yeah, that was kind of my a little bit of my worry with the Xin Zhao is that even though Xin Zhao can work out great, him being the sole early game potential for this team is actually not that good. Just because if you're banking way too much on the Xin Zhao, if he fails once, like we pointed out with the composition from from MSU Blåhaj, then it just kind of becomes harder. Like even though the early game is going bad, they can still turn it back. But certainly, depending solely on the Xin Zhao wasn't a really good strategy from the start, and we're seeing the payoff from that. And another gank up.
Yep, here comes the Poppy once again. Pop the
Oh.
Predator. There's a good cast from Gragas. He's going to try to body slam, but here comes Aurelion Sol flying in through the walls. We talked about it. It's just they've gone with the support meta here in the mid lane, and they're trying to roam around on this mid lane champion that barely gets played anymore. And 3 assists for him, #1 on the team. This is a champion that just happens to be in a bird's wheelhouse. It's a bird adjacent, I guess. It's close enough.
Yeah, fair enough. Like it worked out. It's actually close enough to what a bird is, and this actually is perfect because it shows us that a bird actually knows how to play the Aurelion Soul. He's using the right window timings to move around the map. He's going towards the correct lane and getting the value. Like when you look at those roam timings that he's pulling off, it's not like he reaches there at in the first place or second place, but he's there just to go to connect with the play that already started and be able to finish it up. Like he didn't start the gang, but he was there to allow for the Poppy to finish the gang. And I think that's actually really important with the Aurelion Soul, because if you are there first or if you start a play, it may end up not working out. But with this, you can actually secure that kill falls into your team's hands and you get the value out of that.
And it may not be a kill for the Aatrox, but the Aatrox feasting in this top lane took down 2 plates, has about a 40 CS lead. We'll call it 30, 33 for argument's sake. That's a huge gold discrepancy. Like, This is going to be a problem. Like, this is going to be a problem. He's created a problem that Accelerate has no intentions on handling at this point. And, I mean, there's not too much you can do. I guess you just pushed up a little bit too much. The ward coverage has been a little subpar, I suppose. And maybe the callouts as well from the mid laner, because a bird has just come through twice. Yeah. But once a bird starts moving, there's nothing you can really do.
Yeah, I feel like much more so than just the positioning of the vision or where the top laner or where the junglers has been to respond. I feel like it's the roaming timings. The mid lane has been, compared to what we expected, not really ready to answer for the plays. Oh, okay, nothing happened.
Yeah, not really. Close enough. Almost gotten a pretty bad position there. A bird having to see 2 members of the enemy team and decided that fight's not for me.
Yeah, when you're in such a position as the Aurelion Soul where you can bait out attention from the enemy and you're still in a good position, that's actually so good for the side of MSU. Like they are certainly getting such an important lead out of this, not only in terms of gold but in terms of tempo. And just the mid lane matchup is simply not going how expected. We thought that with how the players were supposed to play and how this could have gone, the core team may have had much more power around in the mid lane. and the Aurelion Sol may not achieve what he wanted, but it's completely on the contrary. Oh,
just a little bit of poke out, not too much going down here. As Dunzi on this Karma hasn't really done a whole lot. It's kind of hard, right? Like, you're going to try to deal a bunch of damage to a Nautilus who is already Omega tanky. Like, nothing's going to go down there. I suppose if you're able to hit the Jhin due to mispositioning, could get something out of it, but the pick has not done anything yet. And realistically, taking a look at the entire team, Lotus hasn't done anything yet.
Yeah, there's not been almost any action, and I don't disagree with the idea of not having action early on in the game. If you can just sustain the enemy's team attempts to go for action, but when you're not able to do that and then you don't respond in any way or sort to try and create something positive for your team, that's where you're really lacking behind as the side of Lotus. Like, they need to try and do something for response. This is a good start, at least, to go for the dragon, get that at the start, but it feels like maybe they're getting collapse here. If they should get it, yeah.
Yep, another dragon down. The second dragon of the game, this time going over to Lotus, so finally potentially a pulse here as they've finally gotten an objective. Ocean Dragon will be the Drake of choice, and if you're an Aatrox, you are salivating at the thought of getting that. Meanwhile, during that, just before that dragon take, I should say, Aatrox taking down the top turret with the help of the Rift Herald from the Poppy as the first turret down, and this Aatrox already with a Gore Drinker.
Yeah, this Gragas is certainly not happy this game. He's so far behind to the Aatrox, one whole item already on the side of the Aatrox, and the other side of the map simply doesn't have enough. Oh. Are they going for the kill
find a play here. The depth charge is out onto the Zeri. Here comes the knockup. Teleport coming in as well. This Aatrox is looking to get into the fight and starting to mash. The World Ender goes down after the hook. Karma's going to have to flash Poppy in the thick of things. Poppy's going to pick up a kill. And now the rest of the squad showing up. Curtain call going down. The health bars are a little too big here for any kills to happen. But the entire squad of MSU comes down for one gank in the bot lane. That is what you love to see. Great team play out of these guys. They are blanking Lotus right now. 5 kills to nothing.
Yeah, perfect timing on the play, perfect, almost perfect execution. If they could have gotten something a little bit more, that would have been perfect, but they get 2 kills, they get value out of the teleport from the Aatrox, and the side of Lotus still cannot answer with anything. They don't get any kill back. Their bot laners are forced to use every summoner, and they are simply just lagging behind everything that MSU has been putting out. Oh, wait, on this.
They may have found the play on to this Aurelion Sol. Aurelion Sol going to flash over the wall, trying desperately to get away. Is going to move toward the Gragas. Going to knock back the Gragas. Going to follow up with the stun. Are they going to be able to get the kill? Now, just barely. Drops is going to be able to take down a bird there. The first kill for Team Lotus, finally going on to the Xin Zhao. But I am worried that it's a little late.
Yeah, if I'm honest, I expected that kill to come through like 4 minutes ago. 5 minutes ago, maybe, when you had the windows as the Xin Zhao and with the Corki to try and punish this Aurelion Sol pick, but it just didn't work out like that.
Yeah, and sure, you finally got a kill. Congratulations, you've punished the Aurelion Sol once. One time throughout this entire game. And that's not good enough. That's not good enough when you can potentially punish this champion who is not exceedingly mobile or anything like that. The ganks need to come in sooner, but Corki's not a champion that can set up ganks.
Yeah, certainly it's not the case, but with the Xin Zhao, you can certainly at least pressure. Like, one of the things that I love about Xin Zhao, and I think that's why Xin Zhao is so prevalent, it's just the threat that you have to be careful of when you're playing mid lane particularly, because Xin Zhao can just cover the distance so easily. There's not quite a huge distance between the bush and the middle of the lane, so the wind becomes lightning is so dangerous, and you're really not finding any value with that. That's so much damage.
Yeah, but here comes some more damage. Zeri's gonna hop over the wall, trying to get out of there. Is Corki so low? Corki will survive. Alistar will pick up the kill. First kill of the game for this AD carry. Highest rank in the game. Let's see you do something with it. Xin Zhao in the bot lane is engaged on top of this Nautilus, but there's nothing to be done there as the bot laners were coming over. Oh, wait a minute. Zeri might want some more here. Get some auto attacks in. Nothing doing. Corki very low. Has to be a little careful as Poppy.
Oh,
Poppy wants it. Poppy popped the Predator. And it looks like
He's
Corky
fine.
will manage to survive, thankfully. So pretty scary, and you cannot give away kills at this point in the game. You're starting to come back into the game. Team Lotus, they finally have a pulse. You cannot give up any freebies.
Yeah, this is a spot where if Team Lotus is able to stop the bleeding correctly and then stitch it up into the later stage of the game, they will be so strong. Like already we're seeing a little bit of damage of the Corki. He's still lacking mana immune as well with the Seri. Also, I want to point out with the Seri, she's going for the crit build, it seems. So the damage that she's going to deal late game wise is actually going to be quite good, especially against the squishes.
Second Rift Herald of the game has been started here. Not as much value as the first, but when you can take it for free, you will take it. It's 100 gold in the pocket of Poppy, as well as the Eye of the Heralds. Might be able to knock down mid lane very shortly. Where do you think they'll take it?
I'd like they open up mid lane because I feel like they need to have the potential to go into the jungle. Oh wait,
Well, there was some potential to go into the jungle there, but they had not taken down the mid lane turret, so therefore there were champions there. Nautilus able to get out without any issues, but no kills once again. It's so hard to try to kill a Nautilus. Is Zeri going to knock down this turret? Lots of solo gold in the pocket of your big carry. Just got to let him scale up.
yeah, this is really important. The fact that the Suri is so strong, or not, it's becoming stronger by the minute. She's able to get so much free gold, and she's not getting that much attention. Like apart from that first kill, oh, nice try, guys.
Ooh, nice.
He's fine. Yeah. So apart from that first kill or in the pot lane, realistically, the Suri hasn't died quite much. So she's actually really poised in this game to be a strong factor later on. So they're pretty surely getting this dragon. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like they're definitely going for it. It's going to be hard. Corki does have the package up, although they have engaged onto the Corki. Has to use the package defensively, but I'm sure you can trade that for the dragon. Rift Herald coming down will knock down the turret as well. So overall, a dragon for a turret and Corki's package down does mean that Lotus is going to be a lot weaker if they try to take a fight for the next 6 minutes.
So for this play, I at least think that it's a win-win for both teams. In the sense that for the side of MSU, they open up the mid lane, which means that now they can be much safer in terms of walking into the enemy jungle and not be responded immediately by someone trying to play safe towards the mid lane turret. So that's the positive for them. For the side of Lotus, they get the dragon, which means that they are able to slow down the game towards a point where the soul is not the immediate factor of or the immediate win condition for the side of MSU, and they can buy themselves time for the Corki, for the Seri, for the Gragas to actually become a champion and find value through that. So I think that overall it's a win-win, maybe a little bit more for Lotus in my opinion, but it's still a win for both sides in a sense.
You can see the mythics finally beginning to become complete for the side of Lotus. Right now, Corki, the only one, as well as Karma, I should say, that does not have a mythic. And you know Corki will be on it soon. Had to go with that Manamune. Such a strong item on such a strong champion. You can't live without it.
Yeah, it's super crucial. It's so valuable, and you get so much done with that Manamune. When it's actually stacked, it just becomes so powerful. You just have to go 100% with the Corki with it. Now, the question for me is what third item will they go for? The Hydra would be nice here because the champions don't have really a lot of shields or a lot of high health champions, so I feel like the Hydra splash that you get would actually work really nicely for the Corki, and getting the extra wave clear would be really good for setups for the objectives here.
As we said, talking about Corki, the only one missing a mythic no longer, finally has that Ludens, and that means the Rockets, they're going to start doing a whole lot of damage, and the poke potential goes way up.
Yeah, and that's when you actually begin. Oh wait.
This is when you begin getting very scared. Jin Zhao in the middle of 4 members of the enemy team and managed to get everybody else out to safety, but he will fall. Dark Cloak picking up that kill, and it all started with Corki getting called out. Dredgeline on top of him, and from a completely unexpected angle, that Aurelion Soul came in, and that forced everybody to scatter.
Yeah, you're strong, but not yet so strong that you can just walk in like that. This Baron buff attempt, I'm not sure. Wait, Aatrox's teleport got cancelled, so
yeah,
this will become a fight before if they are not careful.
Yeah, here's the problem though. Gragas is not able to get away from this Aatrox, and now the chase is on. Predator is used. Cloak very, very low. Everybody on the side of MSU very low. And it looks like Lotus does manage to push them off everything's a-okay in Lotus Land. You would have liked to come away with a kill there. However, MSU, they weren't able to take any advantage off of that kill.
Yeah,
Sure, Aatrox took a turret, but I don't think the kill had any reason.
it was going to die.
Yeah, it was going to go down anyway.
Yeah, so this play actually is so good for Lotus, and much more so for XLR. I want to give complete credit to the Gragas, because canceling the teleport is so crucial for that Baron buff attempt. The main damage dealer that you're baiting with the Baron buff is the Aatrox, because the Jhin doesn't have enough consistent damage, and Aurelion Sol is not necessarily the highest damage dealer, especially without a mythic. So the fact that you cancel the Aatrox out, and you're now in a situation where it's 4v4 with the poke of the Corki, it just means that Lotus doesn't need to overcommit, and they can play from a safe distance and stop any Baron buff attempt, and we saw it there perfectly.
And realistically, if you're Aatrox, you need to run away. You need to run, you need to get to a safe spot, and then begin to channel that teleport, because Gragas has so many ways to try to interrupt it. And if that teleport doesn't get interrupted, this could be a whole different game. I think that Baron probably goes down.
Yeah, I feel like if the teleport goes through, they pretty much can begin setting up the 1-4, and then I feel like the base could have been open, because as of now, even though Corki has the poke damage, there's not quite a lot of wave clear to be able to actually respond to the Baron buff. So it would have been really detrimental for the side of Lotus, and the side of MSU would have gotten such a nice buff into pushing the base and try and open it up easier.
But that did not happen, and we play on. It's a 5,000 gold deficit for the side of Lotus, cresting to the 24-minute mark. This dragon should be up at any time now. As Corki awaiting in the base, looking potentially to pick up the package. The Ocean Drake has spawned.
Yeah, it's already, I think it's going to die really quickly, yeah.
Yep, well, Poppy's just knocking everybody away. The dredge line going all the way back. That was very funny. Uh-oh, this is not funny. Jhin, holy moly! I know that wasn't all of Zeri's damage, as Corki got in on that one as well, but the damage, Trombone gets blown up, and that is a huge loss for the side of MSU, as now the priority is on Lotus. They still have that package.
Yeah, and even though they don't have Baron buff, without the Jhin, you lose a lot of your wave clear. So this turret falls down easily, you respond good enough to the bottom wave, and they can even go for this doubling turret. So overall, great play by the side of Lotus. Yes, they lose the dragon, but the fact that they already had two means that this dragon means absolutely nothing for them.
Looks like Corki is headed up to the top lane, potentially wanting to knock down the top lane turret. That would be massive, as the gold beginning to shrink ever so slightly. It was 5,000 going into that fight. It was a 1-for-0. You lose out on the dragon, you get a turret, and the gold is now only at about 3,000. Poppy tried to get in there, and Poppy does interrupt the channel, and Corki's in a whole lot of trouble running toward the turret, trying to do something, gets under the turret, decides to do damage to Poppy while under the turret, will fall. Trombone will manage to pick off the kill there with that Jhin W. 2-1-3 on this AD carry, and that is not the person you wanted that kill to go to.
Yeah, that is an important kill, actually, because Corki is one of the main reasons that you can stop this Baron buff potential. So now with him dead, the Aatrox has teleport, they can now actually threaten this Baron buff, and the Gragas is not the best of responses here. Oh, that teleport is actually risky.
I am once again trying to do Baron, says MSU, and the fight coming out here. Knock up, trying to get back onto the back line of Karma, and now here comes the curtain call from Jhin, trying to find that kill onto the Poppy. No dice there. It's blocked by Jhin Zhao. A lot of damage taken by MSU, and Alistar is going to manage to find the kill onto a bird. The chase is on. The enemies are low. Here comes Zeri trying to get in there. Has been rooted. Has been tooted. Is going to find the kill. He's going to trade 1-for-1 with the Jhin. However, the rest of the team will swarm the Gragas, pick him off too. That is a lot of kills going over to the side of Lotus, and they have started on this Baron.
Corki's back up. They have, I feel, with the Corki enough damage, and the Aatrox doesn't have teleport, so he needs to come back to life. Poppy doesn't have flash either. This is the perfect opportunity for the Baron buff. I feel like this may be it.
We'll be able to land the tether onto the Poppy, but everybody's pulling off the Baron. They've decided, no, we are abandoning the Baron. Poppy trying to run away.
They can kill them.
Shield going to be popped, but this Poppy is not long for this world. There goes the tether. Kill going over to Jhin Zhao. It's a 600 gold shutdown.
And now this is the best chance. Go for Baron. Zeri is up in 5 seconds. She can run fast enough to come here. You have enough damage with the Corki. The only fear is the Aatrox, but you have enough push away to stop the Aatrox from being threatening. You have the cask as well. They are disengaging, they are playing it safe, but I feel like this was a good opportunity to go for Baron. Anyway, it's still a great fight for them.
Yeah, and I feel if they knew that Poppy did not have Flash, maybe they did know and just decided, hey, we're just going to go on top of the Poppy. But it felt like they played around the idea that Poppy may have had Flash and didn't want to lose out on that Baron. So they're just going to take the kill. And now when you take a look at this gold lead, it's only 1.5K right now as Lotus has clawed their way back into this game on the back of the Zeri. 259 CS, 4 kills. Corki, while the stat line doesn't necessarily reflect how well they've been playing, their damage in these last couple of fights has been pretty good.
Yeah, the stat line is not the KDA. The stat line you need to see is when we finish the game, the damage. Because that Corki has been able to pull his weight these later stages in the fight, being able to deal so much bulk damage and stop and be so threatening. But like you're pointing out, the Seri in that last fight, yes, she died. I think she got 1 kill in the Aurelion Soul, but the fact that she was able to persecute, the fact that she was the perfect bait to force out some plays, and then she was even able to even fight almost head to head to 2 champions in front of her, like that was so important for the side of Lotus. And with Bloodthirster now, it's going to be even harder to kill her.
I do think that if Alistair had played it a little bit safer, we could be talking about a Lotus Baron.
Yeah.
Did go in, did trade their life for 2 kills. So when you're down, you are pretty happy with that. They did end up picking up the Poppy afterwards, as we talked about. So overall, that's exactly what the doctor ordered for the side of Lotus as they look to claw their way back into the game as the teams headed back over near that dragon area, trying to get control of Vision.
Yeah, they are trying to control this soul point for either team. The Aatrox is topside though, no teleport. He needs to back here to be able to threaten the dragon. But first position is for the side of Lotus, so they... Oh wait, Poppy?
Okay, Poppy will be able to get out of there. It's very dangerous playing with fire. There's, a sneaky amount of CC on the side of Lotus. Corki has backed, it looks like, in preparation for that package once again, as the dragon is currently on the map. That does mean you are down a man, but Corki will be able to teleport into this fight as the team's jockeying for position. The hook has gone down onto Xin Zhao. Out of nowhere comes Aurelion Sol onto the back line. Dunzi will fall. Everybody on Lotus is falling. Xin Zhao nowhere to go. 4 for nothing, and Corki can do nothing but watch.
Yeah, and that Aurelion Soul pick, that was so crucial. I don't know where he came from. I don't know how he did it, but that was so big for the side of MSU. They needed that teamfight win so importantly. That fight, if they lose that fight, I feel like they lose the game. They have no way of coming back because they are losing the dragon. They are in such a bad position. They would lose the gold lead as well, and their champions simply don't scale as well. But Aurelion Soul, putting the pick weight that he was brought into for this game into value. He actually carried that fight, and it meant that now the side of MSU can pretty much secure this Baron ball. It's just a Corki. Shouldn't be able to steal it.
I don't want to say that a bird has put the team on their back with that play, but a bird put the team on their back with that play. Huge fight win, and that could result in doom for Lotus as a bird just styling on them, coming out of nowhere, and now the map is their oyster for MSU.
Yeah, and that play from a bird is the kind of play that you simply cannot be prepared for. No matter how much you think of Aurelion Soul, this is the problem with not being able to practice against a champion. You simply don't expect these kind of things from happening. Kind of like when you go against a Fiddlesticks, even though you know what he can do, sometimes you simply don't overword or overcorrect some of the places, and the Fiddlesticks just comes out of nowhere and kills you. This is kind of the same logic with the Aurelion Soul. Even though you know what he can pull off, it's just simply too hard sometimes, like this. It's hard to stop it.
You have to ward differently. And when you play so many games, not against those champions, you get the muscle memory of the wards. I put my wards here all the time because it's able to spot out these champions. It's great choke points. Aurelion Soul doesn't care about where you put your wards.
Yeah, he's simply not a champion like that, although Poppy...
Oh, this is not great. Poppy is going to have to flash away, but will fall regardless. Corki getting a huge shutdown. That is scary because I'm not sure if you saw the damage that Corki was doing to the Jhin with just that poke.
Yeah, Jhin
now
died,
with more gold in the pocket of that Corki, that also stymies the push of MSU. That's going to wait out their Baron buff. They're not really going to be able to get a whole lot off of this.
Yeah, this is really, really important. I still feel like the game was in a good enough spot thanks to the Baron buff to pushing, but you cannot die. like this Baron buff push needs to at least in the most meaningfulest ways and the least bit possible open the base, because if not, you're not getting any value. Oh, Aurelion. Oh no,
Oh,
Aurelion.
that was interesting. That was interesting with a capital int as the teleport now. Aatrox is showing up to the party. You can't cancel that one.
Can they kill him?
Corki did
Oh.
almost die. They are on top of this Aatrox. They do have the heal cut, but Aatrox just a little too tanky right now. And little thing about that fight, as we watched the mid lane turret go down, we were so enamored with the ultimate, or not the ultimate, but the big play that came out of the Aurelion Soul.
Yeah.
We forgot to mention that Soul Point went over to MSU. That's pretty much a given.
True.
Soul Point for an Aatrox, Ocean Soul Point, massive. The Aatrox once again salivating at the thought.
But look, at least the Karma is ready for that. She has the Putrefier, so they are prepared for the heal cut.
Listen, we talked about it in the pregame. You have to be prepared for the heal cut because too much healing and you can't win the game at that point. If they get infinite health bars, how are you supposed to win?
Killing them twice. That's right. Isn't that the logic? You kill them twice.
You know what they say? Kill me once, shame on you. Kill me twice. They're just better than me, I guess. I don't know.
It's good enough if you die. Well, if they kill you at least twice, but at this point, I feel like they can probably do it. The amount of damage that the Corki and the Siri are doing, should be enough to kill two of those champions at least 2 times.
And take a look at this Aatrox has almost finished up their build. They've got 1 item remaining. They've gone. Yeah, they've got the Death Stance. They've got the Maul of Malmortius. They've got the Force. This is scary.
This is the strongest point for Aatrox. Like this to me is the strongest the Aatrox will get. So
yeah.
if the Aatrox doesn't find value here, yeah, like I feel if the 6th item is a placebo item, he's just getting chunkier at that point. This time around, though, I like this. They are trying to play around this Aurelion Soul, trying to take into account him and not fall for the thing that happened in the last fight.
Yep, and Corki with the package and the teleport once again. It's just the plays are Omega telegraphed here. You know what everybody is going to do, which can be a very scary prospect. As long as they know where the Aurelion Soul is, they'll be just fine. As Aurelion Soul down into the bottom lane, perhaps trying to get a creative angle going on here.
He's all over the bushes in the bot lane.
Yeah, this is crazy. He's just gonna come zooming in from the side. Dragon has been started as Aatrox looking to get in there. The World Ender hasn't quite been used yet. Here comes Aurelion Soul. This is big. It's not gonna stun anybody, and Aurelion Soul will have to back off. Good job of Lotus. However, that hammer is gonna knock everybody out. It looks like they're gonna get the Ocean Soul, and they do. Coming over the wall, though, Xin Zhao is not going to be deterred. Knocked into the wall. Lots of damage going down. Xin Zhao will fall. Huge catch once again out of a bird, and they wipe Lotus off the map. A clean ace. They take the soul. They take the souls of Lotus, and they're going to take the base as well.
Can they take the game here? There's one wave that they are crushing in bot lane. They have the soul. And there's, I think, at least 30 seconds that they have. So they may be able to finish the game, but I'm not 100% sure. But that fight, once again, like you're pointing out, a bird playing this so well, the Aurelion Soul, so creative in how he needs to play. Even though the first time he fails, the second time he certainly doesn't. And I want to point out this because it's so crucial. The Corki didn't get any poke damage down. He wasn't able to hit anyone. So the fight was always against full health targets. Yeah, this is it, this game.
Yeah. Unfortunately for Babs, everybody on the side of MSU playing too far away to be hit with the poke. MSU understood their team comp better. They understood their team play better, and they take a huge game off of Lotus.
Yeah, and I want to say a bird. It's dicey when you pick a champion like this, if it's out of fear or out of anything. But he's certainly showing that he knows how to play this champion. This is a champion that you need to understand that a bird can certainly carry on. And I 100% feel like it's getting banged next game. Because it's such a hard champion to play against, especially when you simply don't practice against it.
Yeah, that is not something that is to be easily prepared for. And Team Lotus, they were not up to the task. And they will have to ban it, as you said. It's almost assuredly, unless they've figured out what they're going to do to play against it, because even in that last fight, they warded properly. They did everything right. The wards got cleared out. They forced the Aurelion Sol into an awkward position.
Yeah.
The first stun did not go down, but then they once again lost track of the Aurelion Sol. Everybody needs to be tracking where the Aurelion Sol's going. Otherwise, they're just going to blow up a team fight like they did in the last 3 fights.
Yeah, the Aurelion just simply found the right places to get the value in his team fighting and be able to get the most out of the queues. I also want to give props to the Puppy, because those two in the 2 dragon fights they won, the hammer was so crucial to pushing away 2 targets and being able to secure the dragon. And most of the time it was the jungler as well. So just getting a lot of value out of that, being able to make the numbers advantage into their favor and be able to win the fight much more easily.
Yeah, Poppy, a bit of an unsung hero that game was Dark Cloak, as we're so enamored with a bird just flying in and stunning everybody that everybody forgets, like, hey, Poppy's out here doing a lot of heavy lifting, swinging a hammer, knocking people away, picking up kills, securing objectives, and in the end, winning games.
It's what you get when you get a champion out of nowhere like the Aurelion Sol that is simply not played, but can do so much, and it's so fun to see. So, or not so fun to see. When he moves around the map and he actually does things, it's fun. When he stays in lane and dies, he's not fun.
Listen, there are multiple champions in this game that can go through walls, I guess. There are 2 champions that I synonymize with going through walls. That is Aurelion Sol and that is Kayn. And let me tell you, I'd rather see an Aurelion Sol over Kayn any day.
Wait, really? I think Kayn is more fun, but
no,
I can get.
I play 80 carries. I play squishy champions.
Okay,
I hate seeing
enough.
a Kayn. Get out of here! Don't want to see him in my games ever.
Like, I just simply like Aurelion Sol, not because he's nothing bad, just because they had a dragon champion and they didn't do him justice. So
they did. But you know what? A bird did him justice in this game. The score line, not too impressive, but those 11 assists, a bird earned every single one of them.
Yep. He was everywhere in the map. He tried to impact as much as possible. He pretty much carried 2 teamfights, in my opinion. And he, even though the game was looking a little bit harsh, his way of playing certainly made the team a little bit at ease and made it so that some of the champions like the Aatrox could have more space to play the game. So to me, at least, he's the MVP of this game.
Absolutely. When you have champions that can create a lot of discourse in team fights and split everybody up or hit multi-man stuns, that is going to be something that you need to account for. And if you can't play around it, you're not going to win very many fights and you're not going to win very many games. And MSU they looked a little bit more polished with their team composition. We had a lot of questions going into this game. Sausage McMuffin, mostly a top lane player, came out 5-1-11 on that Nautilus, played a pretty solid game, had some good target selection with the ultimates. Like we talked about a bird earlier, mostly roaming enchanters, and goes and plays the Aurelion Sol. It's a bit of a trick play in the playbook, reaching deep into the bag of tricks of that one, and it paid off in spades.
Yeah, and I feel like with a bird, we will get something similar in the future, even if Aurelion Sol is taken away. So I just feel like roaming mid laners will probably be the meta for this team, much more so than just going for the normal Victor and Corki. So things like even Ryze, I feel like, as well LeBlanc, Ahri will become much more valuable for them, and we may see them beginning to pick the map when the Aurelion Sol is taken away from them.
Another big thing that is something that you're very happy to see if you're MSU, Babs did not look very strong on the Corki. Looked fine. I mean, obviously the game was in a bit of a strange state and not conducive to success for a Corki, we'll call it. But overall looked pretty mortal on that pick. I think that was something that they maybe were thinking about banning going into next game, but now with how it performed on that Corki, it's not too impressive.
I think we may see a Victor getting picked earlier instead of the Corki. Because if I'm not wrong, Corki came in 4th pick. So I think that we may get a Victor pick earlier and try to just play around the Victor. I do think that he wasn't really impressive on the Corki. You really live and die by how much poke you can get with this particular champion, with this particular build. You really live and die by the amount of rockets that you can hit. And he hit quite a few rockets, but when it mattered the most in team fights, he really dropped the ball. And I feel like that's one of the things that you actually have to pay attention to and that you really have to consider when you play Corki as a mid laner, because if not, you really just simply lose way too much value.
Well, we will see if Babs is able to right the ship and if Lotus is able to fix up their draft and potentially undercut MSU, cut their knees out from under them. We are going to go to a short break. And when we come back, we'll be back with the pro draft for game 2 between MSU and Lotus. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are here for the pro draft going into game 2 between Lotus and MSU Blåhaj. It's Black Otter League's week 1, and right now, the team I had picked for first of the power rankings, they're down 0-1.
Isn't that great?
No, I'm not too happy about that. I am joined by TDS. TDS, did you expect this game to go the way it went? I did not.
See, the moment that they picked Aurelion Sol, there's the ban, by the way. The moment that they picked the Aurelion Sol, I was expecting them to lose. So I'm glad I was wrong because I like niche champions like this when they are played correctly. There needs to be the specification that they need to be played correctly. So I'm happy it happened like that. But certainly I didn't expect it to happen. So it's a nice maybe wake up situation for Lotus. And maybe they are able to bring it back to a game 3. But as of now, MSU look really good with the Aurelion Sol, and maybe they have another trick up their sleeves.
Yeah, on the one hand, I'm very happy, like you said, seeing these champions pop off is very nice. On the other hand, I'm very sad. I kind of look like an idiot for having them number 1 overall. This is probably the craziest gauntlet throw ever. So Lotus with the bans of Shen, Aurelion, Kha'Zix, MSU taking care of Philios, Corki, and Victor. And wouldn't you know it, we said the 80 carry pools do not overlap. Trombone struggles on champions that are in the meta like Jinx, and they first pick Jinx. They're putting everything they've got on this 80 carry.
Yeah, do we know of any secret accounts that maybe Trombone practicing? Because I tried to see his...
It looked like a main account, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, like... As far as I know, I remember Suri, Bane quite a lot. Not quite the Jinx, but I love the Jinx. I think that she's I think I pointed it out in the previous game. To me, she's the best AD carry in the game. So if you can get your hands on her, you're at least 45% into carrying your game. The next 65, my math's correct, 55% is being able to play it. But at least at that point, I'm glad that they go for the Jinx. The answer now, Jean Karma. A lot of just trying to push the wave into the Jinx, trying to make her be as weak as possible before she reaches her unstoppable power spike, and try and make it so that you can kill her in the early game. Pretty much the idea.
The math checks out. This bot lane pairing seems to be exactly what both of these teams wanted. I mean, I guess, I didn't expect Jinx to be taken by MSU, but they follow it up with a Lulu, so they decided, hey, Trombone, if you're going to play Jinx, we've seen you play Jinx. We're going to give you a little bit of extra protection with this Lulu pick.
Yeah, and I really like the Lulu, the Lulu pick to support the Jinx, but I also love the Jarvan pick because the Jhin and the Karma are not really the most model of champions. Yes, Karma gives movement speed, but with the Jarvan it's quite easy to lock them up in place. And with the Lulu, you have the extra survivability to protect the Jarvan and the Jinx as well. So overall, I really like the combo idea. Now, the Gwen getting picked here, I think it can work out really well, especially with how the last top lane matchup went. I feel like giving a Gwen towards your top lane that kind of struggled can be a good idea, and he can come later on and be a much more carry-oriented top laner, especially with a much more supportive focused bot lane.
Yeah, sometimes you stick your top laner's weak side and they just aren't able to do much of anything. You know, not every player is able to play every archetype of every lane. You know, it's not something that every player can do. That being said, you stick them on a champion like Gwen, as you mentioned, very aggressive, seems like a totally fine choice. One thing I really like with this Jarvan Lulu combination is that a big criticism that I have of Jarvan is that early on in the game, he's very squishy. And the fact that he goes Gore Drinker into Sterix, he has a lot of effective health, but not a whole lot of actual health. Lulu will help mitigate that and allow Jarvan to get those usages of the Gore Drinker off, not going to just get bursted out or anything. As we head to the bans, Jin Zhao, the ban for MSU, they've decided they do not want to deal with that, although Drops didn't really have the greatest game. Meanwhile, Lotus, they've decided, hey, we're going to get rid of the bird, so we have not seen a bird play the bird yet, unless they elect to play Zir. And the final ban for the side of Lotus, they're going to opt into that Galio. Looks like are they going to ban the Darius? Are they going to ban it? I mean, Gwen's already been selected, so maybe they think it's Gwen going elsewhere. But that is that final ban locked in. TDF,
I just realized I was muted low.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm like, all right,
sorry.
I'm like, where do you think this is going? You know, this seems like This draft seems like it's shaping up for. I don't know if it's exactly what Lotus wants, but I think MSU, they've got a pretty easy to execute comp so far, and I am a
Yeah.
huge proponent of easy to execute compositions.
Yeah, the only way it improved was with that Galio ban, a way that I think was really smart by Lotus. But with this Gragas pick now, does it is it going to be a Gwen jungle? Like that is still an
Ooh.
option. I like her a little bit more with the Yumi just because you get that extra oomph in your carry potential. But overall the Gwen jungle may work out. Jarvan may not be the best of punishers towards the Gwen. It can find value, but it's not the greatest. And the Gragas getting picked once again. We saw how the Aatrox Gragas matchup went, and Jarvan is another early game oriented jungler that can impact the Aatrox in the top lane as well. So I feel like MSU just staying a little bit true to what they drafted in the previous game. Now we need to see the mid lane though. Do we
That
get another curveball?
Yeah, that's going to be the big pick of them all. And this also
Yes.
means that they've given Lotus counter pick here.
No.
The Vex being hovered right now, and a nice infusion of magic damage is exactly what this team needs. MSU does lock in the Vex. If you happen to pair that with a Lulu ultimate, that could be incredibly scary. Just jumping around, landing on people, hitting with the personal space sphere, knocking them up. Imagine a Jarvan coming in after that. That
Yep.
could be a huge wrecking ball of a team fight for the side of MSU. And as we touched upon very slightly, once again picking the Aatrox, Lotus, do you know what the definition of insanity is? This Gragas better not be going to the top lane.
Ooh.
The final pick will be Yone. And I mean, while Yone does do quite a bit of physical damage, I feel like Lotus once again has a problem where they do too much magic damage. It didn't work out so well for them last game.
Yeah, your main damage, or at least physical damage source, will be the Jhin with the 50% from the Yone because if I'm not wrong, he's 50% physical, 50% magical, or
Dude, that's
around
his
that.
passive. That's his passive. I think he's closer to 60-40 overall.
Yeah, I think it should be around that. But like you're pointing out, there's quite a lot of magical damage, and once again, there's a lot. The Hex Drinker is such a good champion. Now even the Jarvan can find value with the Hex Drinker instead of going for the Sterak's because I think that he gets more out of that. But Sterak's is still an option. Jinx as well gets a lot of value out of magic out of the Hex Drinker this game. So it just feels like there's good opportunities for MSU to just block out some of that damage. And Lotus, once again, kind of playing towards that later stage power spike with maybe some inklings from mid game power, particularly with the Jhin. The Jhin is going to be stronger in the mid game, but the other pieces are going to work better in the mid game. And based on what we see from MSU in the previous game, like they're willing to just throw themselves in and try and win the game the earlier they can.
One concern from the side of Lotus is that these champions require a lot of mechanical skill in micromanaging the Jhin, the Gwen, and the Yone. These are your big three carries. They're going to need to be on the top of their game against a team that really they struggled against all game. It just felt like they were always on the back foot, even when they were picking off some kills, even when they had that really strong dragon fight and they managed to pull themselves within 1.5K. It just felt like they were on the back foot all game, and these are not champions that do well on the back foot.
Yeah, they need to still to at least be in the neutral spot where you're not that far behind, but you're not ahead either. So if they can get into a good enough spot like that, then I can see Lotus's composition be good because I feel like Gwen and Yone can do so much chaos in the fight. They don't lack a lot of ways to reach the back lane, particularly much more so the Yone. Like he can get towards the Jinx and the Lulu really quickly. And if the Vex doesn't interrupt, or the Aatrox or the Jarvan or even the Lulu, the Jinx may die immediately. So there's at least that for Lotus. The only thing that I'm afraid of is that you have a Jinx. The Jinx will destroy pretty much anyone from the side of Lotus, apart from maybe the Gragas because he's tanky. But the other four members, and the Gwen with a Shroud. But the other members are actually quite vulnerable to the Jinx. And if she gets going, it's not going to be a pretty scene for this against this Jinx.
One thing I did want to mention, it does look like it's going to be Gragas top lane with Gwen and the jungle. That being said, Accelerate needs to step up this game because if you take a look at things that Lotus has that can kill the Jinx easily, it's going to be on Accelerate and on Babs to hit their ultimates, use the cask, misposition this Jinx. As you said earlier, Yone, come through, try to one-shot the Jinx using Fate Sealed. That is so important. So Accelerate needs to, at least keep themselves into the game. And a lot of League is a mental momentum game, and it just felt like Accelerate was just down at the dumps all game long
Yeah.
because of how rough the early game was. Like it just felt like they were a participant in this game. Gragas intermediate bot, perhaps. We need you to be Gragas Doombot.
Right. If he can do that, then certainly Accelerate will find more value. I just feel like against such a harsh matchup where he can just fall down so easily in terms of CS, and then to add salt to injury, you have the Bex and the Jarvan that will continue to go towards your lane. Like it's not the easiest times for Accelerate, but I do agree that he's not kind of putting from his part either. His engages weren't that good. His casks were questionable and they didn't find a lot of value. So if in this game he can play a little bit better that role of being the engager tank, the disengager as well, and find ways to put champions into bad spots, particularly the Pex and the Jarvan, if he can put them into really bad spots, then Accelerate will be able to play this game better.
Lotus, their backs are against the wall here in week one. Let's see if their team can dig deep and force this into game three, as we are now into the spectator delay, which means we are going to take a very short break, but don't go anywhere because in exactly 2 minutes and 30 seconds, give or take 30 seconds, for Summoner's Rift to turn the lights on, we will be back with game two between MSU and Lotus. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you soon. 6,
6,
7,
7,
8,
8,
9,
9.
10. Has been set up by Lotus.
Yeah, and I love these level ones when they are prepped correctly. And I find it funny that we didn't talk much about the level one, even though we didn't see it. But in the last game, they did have a level one, and they got a kill out of that. So they certainly at least are a team that looks to try and take advantage to these level ones, even though this one didn't work out. The last one certainly at least showed that they are willing to try it.
Right. They do get warded up as punishment, and they don't get any wards down themselves. So they're going to know where Dark Cloak is starting. And it looks like the entire side of Lotus sitting in bottom Pixel Brush, potentially for a late invade.
That would be nice to see.
They don't have a whole lot of CC, though.
They do have a lot of damage. So
yeah, they
maybe
do.
they're
They do.
banking on that.
Oh, man. Yo, they are going for it. Comes the late invade. They have no idea
Lulu saw
coming
it
from
now.
the side. The wards are going down. Dark Cloak had walked right into the Yone. Yone going to force him off. And they are going to come in and they are going to try to take this red buff. And they do successfully, setting Dark Cloak very far behind. Drops out here at level 2. And a successful invade there from Lotus, getting the game off on the right foot.
Yeah, really important late game invade, late invade into the red buff. I really like the play, and means quite a lot that they, with the words that they got at the start, pretty much just setting themselves up, because even if the Jarvan didn't start topside, they would knew 100% that he was down there. So I really love the play. The prep was okay, and punishing, like you mentioned, the level 1 aggressive start from the side of MSU.
Shielding from Sausage McMuffin, but I don't think it's enough right now as Trombone has taken way too much damage. Right now, Karma Jin holding level 2 over the heads of Trombone and Sausage McMuffin could result in disaster shortly.
Taking a lot of damage in the mid lane. Not really actually playing a lot around the shielding. And one thing to note is that both have Ignite, so we may see a solo kill coming in from the mid lane as well.
Potentially. And all that damage of the root followed up as well. It's only going to eat through the shield, but that is more mana that the Lulu has to commit.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in the top lane, it's the same story. 13 CS to 2.
Huh. Interesting from the Gwen to come here. I'm not against this, but I feel like taking away so much experience from the Yone is not the most ideal of things, especially with a wave like this.
Oh, they want to force him in. Coming over the wall,
she's dead, I think.
With the flash, the Ignited going down. It's first blood over to a bird. Now, Babs, are you going to be able to get out of there? Dark Cloak will fall. Will he be able to snap back to reality? Unfortunately, does before you can finish off a bird. So 1-for-1 overall. The flash through it. Babs with a big play, picking up a double.
Yeah, big play and a huge disrespect by a bird. You already blew your flash. You cannot walk in like that. You're a Vex. Yes, you can deal a little bit of damage, but you cannot play that aggressively. And a really great play in the mid lane turns into complete nothingness, thanks to that double kill that the Yone got. And this is the worst news possible for MSU, because the Yone was one of the factors that you were going to try and play around as the Jinx to try and not get killed. But with 2 kills now, this Jinx may get it. Oh, wait, unless...
Oh, Dunsey is going to be able to flash away. Trombone has been rooted. Here comes Drops as he's going to get the drop on him. Alistair walking forward. 4th shot, 169 damage on the crit. Nice! Sausage McMuffin has to back away. The root goes down as Sausage McMuffin learned to find a piece of Alistar. A second, 4th shot. Bam! It's a double kill for the Jin. 4 kills early on for Lotus. They're coming out with a 5.
Yeah, they realized in the previous game they didn't do anything in the early game. They are now trying to correct that and actually try to impact the early game. Really nice couple of kills, or pair of couple of kills that they got in both the mid lane and the bot lane. And I gotta say, the disrespect in both lanes from the side of MSU is quite appealing. It's quite surprising. They didn't need to overcommit for that. Yes, the Jinx is dead, but you, as the Lulu, go away. You don't need to still stick there. She dies dumbly in a sense. Same for the Vex. You commit way too hard to try and get a counter kill, or to maybe go for a greedy trade and end up paying the price. So a situation that could have been negated gets now into the positive of Lotus, and they are ahead in this game in a really good sense.
And it just feels like that MSU, their bottom lane failed to understand what their composition is trying to do against a Jhin, against a Karma. You kind of have to play it safe. You have plenty of shielding. Just farm it up. Have a good time. Hang out. Don't die to ganks. And unfortunately, now with the Jhin being so far ahead, this could... I mean, I hate to say it, it's so early on, but 2 kills on each of the main carries is not something you would be staring down.
Yeah, like if the Jinx at least got a kill, I would be okay with the situation because, okay, you traded kills, but your Jinx gets value. But you don't get anything as the Jinx, you lose, if I'm not wrong, a couple of CS in that trade, and also your support pretty much blows everything to survive and dies. So you essentially lose a lot of priority in the lane. You no longer can do much. Oh,
Babs going for it. He's going to do it yourself on a killing spree now. After hitting that Fate Sealed with the knockup, had Gwen in the area, not needed. Dark Cloak will do nothing but stare and watch as Void in a lot of trouble. Accelerate didn't have a whole lot of mana left over. Got knocked under the turret, but so far the Aatrox having his way in the top lane, but everybody else is not. It is a fire everywhere else on the map.
Yeah, and trying to put it down is going to be quite difficult for the side of MSU. Even though they have a Jinx, like Jinx needs to scale. And this is the kind of thing where the Jhin Karma gets so much value because they just keep the push up. They don't allow the Jinx to do anything. And if she doesn't get a kill, you're pretty much just playing the perfect game to deny her.
The Dragon being taken down. Gwen getting the kill credit for that one. First Drake of the game going over to Lotus. It is the win Drake. Just shy of 7 minutes in. Pretty happy with that sort of objective control. I'd imagine Gwen is going to have a harder time trying to take the Rift Herald.
I think she won't. Like, realistically, she shouldn't with the support from the Yone. But I may see... There may be a potential from the Aatrox and the Vex responding just because the Aatrox has push and the Vex can go from a really far distance. Oh,
Trombone in a lot of trouble is going to have to flash away. Heal still held by the Jinx, but a mispositioning there allowed Karma to just walk up for free. As Gragas looking to pick a fight with Void and Drops trying to as well. Let's find the body slam, but no cask does force the World Ender out of Void.
Downstairs, level 6, yeah.
Yeah, he's trying to open up on him. 1 shot, 2 shot, 3 shot! Oh, he missed the 4th shot. A little bit of help from the Karma there, able to pick up that kill on to that Lulu. So this bottom lane is just absolutely rolling right now.
Yeah, and honestly, to say that the bot lane... Oh, wait.
Oh, yep, up in the top side. Big double knock up there. Is he going to be able to heal up enough? Dark Cloak solo. Big double kill. Body slam, baby. Landing that cask as well. An instant double kill out of Accelerate. And the one lane that you had an advantage in, now Accelerate's got 2 kills.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit about this in the draft, but maybe the last game was the slap in the face that Lotus needed to wake up and play the game, because now they are actually just destroying the early game. There's a fire in the bot lane, there's a fire in the mid lane, and there's a really, really small fire that has started the top lane as well. So they are actually beginning to burn up the map. The Gwen is impacting so many lanes. As a jungler that shouldn't fall behind the Jarvan in any sense in the early game, like the Jarvan should be better, but the Gwen has found better avenues. The late red buff steal at the start of the game was so good, and they're just set up to be able to succeed in this game.
You ever see the gif of Donald Glover? He walks into the room with the pizzas and everything's on fire. That's this mid lane right now, although trying to get a kill back onto Babs will do. A bird picking that one up from a little help with Sausage McMuffin there. So 2 kills onto this Vex, a very strong champion and a pulse for MSU.
Yeah, and honestly, that kill is really thanks to the Lulu because of the extra shield, because the Yone was almost able to go back to get the kill, but the extra shield from the Lulu meant that the play could be favorable. Oh, Dunsey.
There's the slow. There's the flash out of Dunsey there. Solid job by Dark Cloak, putting everything down. Going
nice
to burn the flash. Yeah, it's okay. You'll take it. Like, they've made back-to-back good plays. These are momentum-based plays.
Yeah.
This is how you get back into the game. You start feeling it a little bit.
Yeah, you do need... I think that if they get 1 kill on this Jinx, the game can actually come back into their hands. Even though they are 2,000 gold behind, 1 kill on Jinx is so important for this game.
And 2,000 gold isn't really a whole lot. There are shutdowns on Jhin and Gragas. Jhin, particularly a frail champion. We do see Jarvan waiting to make a play happen, but Gwen shows up in the right place, right time. Dark Cloak had gotten rooted. He's going to get rooted again, and another 4th shot. Alistair picking up another kill. Jinx is huge, but it doesn't matter. It's 2 kills for this Jhin. Absolutely massive right now. They just overstay their welcome a little bit, and drops has been everywhere that Dark Cloak has been.
Yeah, the bait from the Jhin was so good from Alistar. Now they pretty much get this complete turret, even though the gold is going to get split between both the Gwen and the Jhin. It's still such a good trade. The Jhin, like you're pointing out, is so far ahead, and the Jinx once again died. So you're stunting this Jinx so much, and even though I said they need to get a kill, you don't need to throw your whole house to be able to get that kill. Like, it's not necessary to die in such a harsh way to try and give the Jinx a kill.
Yeah, they threw the house, and they didn't get the kill anyway.
Yeah.
Jinx 0-2 right now. Sure, the CS numbers aren't looking too bad. When you take a look at the gold right now, it was a 2,000 gold deficit for them, and it's like, hey, this is not over yet. And they get run roughshod in the bot lane, and now it's just 4.5k. That's just not where you want to be right now, and they are in danger of falling further and further behind. They can't allow Lotus to play the game with their gold lead and dictate how the rest of this game goes.
Yeah, honestly, playing like that from a sense with this kind of composition that the side of MSU has, it's really risky. The Aatrox, it's not going to get stronger past a certain point. Same with the Jarvan, and you're really banking quite a lot on the Vex and the Jinx, but they need time and power. So if they don't get that, it's going to be super risky for them. And for MSU, honestly, it's going to become harder to be able to do anything in this game. They are able to respond, but it's not safe. It's not a convenient way to play the game, and it's just kind of allowing Lotus to do whatever they want.
Second Drake of the game, slain by Lotus. Not too unexpected. And the root down on the Dark Cloak, there could be potential here, but nobody else ready to follow up. That is a very scary prospect. They are now staring down an Infernal Drake. And it always seems like the games where you are just down in the dumps and you need a little pick-me-up, the Infernal Drake spawns and you have no map control. In 2 dragons, Lotus may just have way too much damage.
In 2 dragons, Trombone may just never be able to play the game.
I don't know if Trombone's even able to play the game now. Sad trombone noises right now.
That is true.
It's not looking too good.
But it could be worse, right?
Yeah. I've kept pace in CS, which you're okay with. Sure, down 10 is negligible at this point. When the opposing AD carry has 4 kills, you'll consider that pretty good. But even elsewhere, after the 2 kills that the Gragas got, Void hasn't really been able to impose their will as they were in the last game. Bird is just not able to translate these kills that they've gotten into more advantages for the rest of the team. Sure, Sausage McMuffin still has plenty of utility, though.
Yeah, Sausage McMuffin is going to be a key player here to try and make the Jinx not disappear immediately and try and play the game so that she essentially can play the game as well. But like you're pointing out, I feel like the biggest problem this game is a bird hasn't simply been able to move around the map, and that's something that we questioned when the Aurelion Sol was getting banned, because we knew that it was getting banned. It was, when it gets banned, is he able to get the same presence and the same impact that he had with the Aurelion Sol? And even though Vex does allow for roaming potential, it's not comparable to Aurelion Sol. It's not comparable to even other roamers. So you lose quite a lot there, and she was already stuck in lane thanks to what happened at the start. So it just meant Void was going to have a harder time himself as well.
Looks like they're potentially setting up a play in the stop lane. They're trying to go after Void. Drops is going to hit the blast plant. I don't think they have the CC though, but what they will do is they'll get some personal time with this turret. The objective bounties are now up for the side of MSU, so if you can grab a couple of them, you'd be happy with that. The problem is, players have backed. They have no priority in any of their lanes. The only person in the lane right now is Vex, and Babs has gone to meet them, so they're not even getting this objective gold. Meanwhile, Lotus continues to increase their lead, knocking down another turret.
Yeah, they had, I feel like 2000 gold lead like 5 minutes ago, and it just has to slowly but surely built up even more, and it's just so high right now. They're getting so much value around the map, opening the map really easily. They just missed the mid lane turret to be able to just begin terrorizing the side of MSU.
Things not looking so good for the side of MSU. Second Rift Herald going to be taken by Drops with a little bit of help from Alistair. And this Rift Herald, I mean, I think mid's another good option, as we said last game.
Oh, trombone. Oh, trombone.
Flash used. Jin with the curtain call, though, trying to land a couple of shots down. Third shot still has that fourth shot available. Man, that does so much damage. Trombone essentially out of the fight. Flash burnt from that Jinx as well, as it looks like more pressure getting put down by the side of Lotus. They are dropping the Rift Herald, and they are 4 strong at the mid lane.
Yeah, that's essentially going to be the turret. And I gotta say, even though Trombone played the good AD carry there, you do the Sausage McWuffin has to stop there. Oh,
big Void. Double knock up there. Void is going to have to flash away. Ultimate used by Sausage McWuffin. The shield is on. Dark Cloak so low. The burn, baby, burn. Down goes the Lulu. And another turret taken down by the side of Lotus. This is an absolute slaughter. It's a 7,000 gold lead. And the dragon to spawn in 40 seconds. I mean,
it has a name on it.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, this is becoming such a slaughter for the side of Lotus. They are destroying. They destroyed essentially each lane, apart from maybe Accelerate, when later on he was able to destroy his lane partially as well. So it's just been a fire that has never been put out from the side of MSU, and it's becoming harder and harder to be able to put it out. They no longer have any outside turret or outer turret to be able to protect their own jungle. They have to walk like this into their own jungle, because if not, the Jinx is dead. And this game is just so hard for them to play. It's 17 minutes, an infernal soul point, and every member from the side of MSU or of Lotus already has an item and a half. Some members have 2 items even.
Yeah, Gwen's gonna get even stronger. Doesn't even have the Rift Maker yet.
Yeah,
like
she was hard to kill.
Bad. That's bad. When you're sitting here like, oh no, this Gwen's gonna get even stronger. Trombone? Like, you are not happy about that. As Trombone taking a big body slam down to half HP. Now they'll accelerate, went right into the chompers. Will get shielded up, tries to flash, but gets pulled back over the wall. Dragon going over to the side of Lotus's Dark Cloak, trying to get out of there, but gets snipped away and will fall. Here comes the curtain call. Trombone, well protected though, tried to curve the bullet, will not be able to. And looks like no further engagements here, although Void still wants a piece of Drops. The shield's going down, the slow's going out. And overall, a 1-for-1, Accelerate and Dark Cloak falling, but the real prize is the dragon that was taken by Lotus, their own soul point.
Yeah, so that could have been an okay trade for MSU if Dark Cloak didn't go so ham like he did to try and steal the dragon. He ended up paying the price with his life, and a pick that was okay against Accelerate, giving gold back into the team and trying to put a little bit of cash back into the pockets of the members, gets negated by that, and now it means that it's just a dragon, a kill for a kill, and now get more pressure into the base of the side of MSU.
Well, I don't necessarily disagree with that. And you're down so much that if you manage to take the Drake, that is an extra, that's a lot of extra time that your team has to be able to farm up and come back into the game. So I'm not really overly against it. I think that you have to try something, and it'll give your Jinx more time to scale. And, if they get this next dragon, if Lotus gets this next dragon, this game's essentially over.
Yeah, I feel like I agree 100% with what you're saying. I think getting the dragon is important, and trying to slow the game down is important. But
Babs potentially in a little bit of trouble, but will snap back and survive. Big shield, as the shield bow has been popped. Dark Cloak, Accelerate. Just going back and forth a little bit as a bird is just trying to farm things up, play it safe. Accelerate going in. He's got a 3-level lead, definitely trying to use it. Puts on a fair amount of damage for not having a whole lot of damage. Like, you take a look at the builds. I mean, maybe it's just his 3-level lead, or maybe it's just because Jarvan's so squishy, but
he does have
some. He did a lot.
He has 30 ability power thanks to the Oblivion Orb, so...
Oh no, 30.
Yeah, he does deal a little bit more ability power than he would normally, so at least I can see it to that. But yeah, it's mainly from that 3-level lead, as well as just the fact that Raz has good base values, so he just deals good enough damage.
That 30 AP is the spicy equivalent of guacamole.
He also did nice
It's
healing.
not
We
spicy.
need to keep that in mind.
This is true. This is true. All
So
right, I can concede that point. As all right.
He can do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at the damage that they do to it. It's absolutely absurd. It's just the two of them. Now Alistair has joined the party. Missing pings have gone down, but you don't have the vision. You can't contest. This Baron is dead.
Great decision making by Lotus, realizing not only they have the damage, but also sending their members that have the most healing. So even if they take damage, they can take that back quite easily, and they also have enough mobility to not be afraid of trying to escape. So overall, great decision, great advantage that they have gotten, and now they can try and open up the base if they want to. Also, they did it before the dragon spawns with almost 2 minutes of difference, so they may be able to use the Baron buff to push, and then just with the damage that is going to be dealt towards the base, the dragon, the soul will be obtained much more easily.
Yeah, and everything you said is bad news for MSU, as I don't know what the difference was between this game and last game, but they've seemed all out of sorts. They don't understand the composition that they are playing into and the composition that they are playing, and it is showing, and they struggled a lot in the early game, and you were seeing the fruits of the labor of Lotus come through here. They've tightened up, they have straightened their shoulders, squared them up, and said, we are not going to lose this game, and drops so much damage, burning away. Here comes the Jingle. Dodges one, dodges two, can't dodge the third one. Alistair dominating 6 kills on the board for the AD carry.
He needs more dance lessons. That was not good enough.
Nope, he did not put on his boogie shoes.
But with that, it's just a continuous lead going into the hands of Lotus. Like, yes, they may get this turret, which I'm even doubting. Oh,
and knock him back into the turret. I guess Accelerate trying to help him out there. The penguin dab there, Pengu dabbing on him. 2 turrets going to go down in the top side. The mid turret going to go down soon. Void and Accelerate in the 1v1, trying to find a kill onto Accelerate. Meanwhile, in the top lane, that inhibitor will fall. Trombone, Sausage, and Muffling, not too much they can do. Mid turret at about half HP as Bab is looking for the re-engage onto the Jarvan, who will flag and drag his way out. They're going to buff up the mid lane minions. Curious to see if they're going to go after the dragon or they're going to try to siege in.
Just going for the dragon.
It looks like they're making the dragon call. Bab is trying to zone off Dark Cloak in the bot lane. Not quite sure who won, but Void backed and Accelerate didn't. Cloak going in for this. That's so scary. You have to be around to try to stop the dragon take here. Half HP, dragon starting to go down. Void from the side on top of Dunsey. Dunsey's going to flash and is going to burn the Shirley's. The dragon getting low.
He didn't get
and
it.
The soul is taken. Look at the damage drops just bursting out. That Aatrox, a bird, nowhere to go. Body slam, bam, getting another kill. 4 kills for nothing. Trombone, the last one standing. Okay, Trombone stopped to dodge the cast. The surrender vote comes out. That is it. It is done. It is dusted. They have tapped out. Lotus with a statement game in Game 2.
Yeah, and Game 1, I think, lasted almost 40 minutes. Game 2, 23 minutes. It went by in a flash. That was just the level of domination that Lotus showcased from level 1 onwards. And I really like how Lotus played. They deserve completely stomping this game because they did a really nice laning bait. They pulled that into a double kill in mid lane, into a double kill in bot lane. Then they just kept moving around the map, choking the life out of the side of MSU. And MSU, like you pointed out, never had any answers. But I also gotta say that from the start, they just simply couldn't find the answers because Lotus had the hand in front of their eyes and they were just blinding them. They couldn't simply do anything because Lotus was doing so much good stuff in that game.
Now MSU runs into a problem here. So they elected to try to play the game of we're going to pick away some champions of yours. And Alistair showed, hey, I don't just play Caitlyn and Jinx, I can play Jhin too. So now this is a murderer's row of 80 carries that Alistair can get access to. And you can't really do the pick away strategy. I mean, you could pick Jhin, but that doesn't even count as the pick away strategy at this point. It feels like Trombone's pool differs so much from Alistair's that it's just going to result in Lotus getting the drafts that they want. They got a draft that they wanted here. They had no problem picking up Karma Jin first rotation, paid off in spades.
It worked out so well, and I feel like that's something that we will see as well going forward. It's whoever controls well enough the lane and the wave, and whoever has more power in what happens on the lane, it's more than likely going to be able to not only control what happens out there in bot lane, but also provide the extra support from the jungle to whatever they want to do. So I feel like that's going to be a thing that we may see in the third game. But I also think that it's important to note the lack of power or the lack of attention that Avert had in this game towards the rest of the lanes. Namely, he couldn't specifically do it after what happened in the start of the game. But even when he got back a kill onto the Yone, he never had any windows of opportunity to move around the map, which means that the lack of assistance from your mid laner that we saw so much in the first game, getting denied here, maybe another point of worry for the side of MSU.
Absolutely. If you give Babs a pushing mid laner, a bird is going to have a hard time trying to get out from under their own turret and impacting the map. And that is the game that they like to play. You saw it with the Aurelian Soul. And when they are not able to make those plays happen, they are not impactful. Sure, they had the only 3 kills on the team, but they also had 0 assists. I mean, obviously, you can't assist on a kill that you are getting.
Yeah.
But it just felt like they were just there, and Vex's raw damage output and what the champion can do got them to those 3 kills as opposed to any movement around the map. But we will see how the side of MSU will adjust their draft going into game 3 as Lotus smacked them in the mouth. So we got a series on our hands, ladies and gentlemen. We will be back shortly with the pro draft going into game 3. These teams knotted up at 1 game apiece. The ultimate game coming to you next. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are into the Pro Draft for the final game of the first series of the season for these teams in the Blue Otter League, as it is week 1. It is Lotus versus MSU Blåhaj. It is still Yanni on the microphone, joined by TDS. TDS, I'm not sure if we thought that we were going to have a series on our hands after MSU came in and had a shocking game 1 victory, but Lotus showed why. I put them number 1 on the power rankings, baby, and they smacked Missouri.
Yeah, if I'm honest, I didn't think we would have a series from game 1 because I thought Lotus would win. But yeah, it's been a surprising turn of events. MSU played really well the first game, but Lotus answered back with dominance, with a statement game to say that they are not going to let anyone just take them out like that, and they are going to win the first game. With the amount of balding bans that we had, Kaylin and Jinx getting banned away means that the Jink gets picked, but Karma is banned away as well. So we won't be getting the same balding that we had previously. But I'm also quite surprised that we are not seeing the Seri. But Bane is left open. It's left open. And this is from MSU's Blahaj AD carry, actually one that they quite enjoy.
Yeah, I think if you have the opportunity to pick your Vayne here, you have to pick it. You have to pull out all the stops. If they're going to leave it open, you have to take it. They do lock it in. Interesting thing about MSU's bans is last game they banned Aphelios Corky Victor. The Victor is now open for Lotus to play, and that is one of Bab's strongest champions. 65% win rate in solo queue over 26 games. Meta-centric champion will scale at the same rate as Vayne. That is a scary pick to leave open, and this does mean that Lotus might have to pick it in the first rotation. They don't want it to try to get through the second ban phase. So if you're picking your mid laner early, it could be a little scary, but I think it's just something they should do. MSU, they followed up with the Poppy pick as well. Can't forget that. Poppy, pretty big impact in the first game.
Yeah, it worked out marbles in the first game. It's going to deny the jungler from being able to smite if played correctly, so it's going to work really well. And already denying the Nautilus as well, so finding a lot of value already. I think that Victor, the problem with picking Victor here is that if you don't pick your jungler, you may get banned away, which means Jarvan and the Gwen would have been banned away, or if the Xinjiao is something that you want to pick, could have been banned away. And that's why they are now prioritizing the Gwen. It can still be a flex though, but still, I feel like this is the correct turn of events for the side of Lotus, because one thing that worked out really well for them in the last game was playing with the counter pick mid laner and with the potential of playing a more aggressive style of mid laner in the Yone. So I feel like it's not bad for them to yet not pick the mid lane, instead go for the jungle. That worked out really well and try and play their strategy through that. But we're getting a bird Anivia.
Yeah, I was about to say the bird has finally picked the bird. The bird is indeed the word. They've been banning the Anivia constantly against this guy. And you know what? Finally, it is open here in game 3. It's time for a bird to put their money where their mouth is if they can make the plays like they did on Aurelion Sol and single-handedly win their team the game. Bans. Now, oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, even though I do agree that they need to go for the plays with Aurelion Sol, I'm not sure if Anivia is the kind of champion that I think replicates Aurelion Sol, even though both fly. Like,
oh, come on. Listen, the zone control you get out of Anivia, while it's not as single moment impactful as it is on Aurelion Sol, the type of things that you get to do a fight. You get to throw your ultimate in a choke point. You get to throw your wall in another choke point. Like, that's absolutely massive.
Oh, wait, actually, they also have the combo, the Poppy Anivia combo, so they don't really need to play around walls. They can just use their own wall, and it's going to work out great. So yeah, they have a quite good synergy with this composition. We see the bans coming through, by the way, with the Corki and the Gragas taken away, so we're not going to get the same top lane matchup, I think, unless the Aatrox gets big. But overall, I really like these bans, particularly the Luluman, because I feel like that would have been the best synergy for the Bane. And wait.
What the heck is going on?
I don't think Ezreal is the best answer to Anivia. Now, would it be Jhin mid?
Whoa. I mean, I don't even know. But I actually kind of like this Ezreal pick for one reason and one reason only. Take a look at Lotus's team composition. They go in, right?
Yeah.
They are a go-in team comp. MSU's team comp, you want to walk into a Poppy? You want to walk into an Anivia? You want to walk into a Braum? Be my guest, is what they're saying. They are so happy that Lotus has drafted this team composition where MSU doesn't have to really do a whole lot. If they're going to walk forward to try to get picks, you
Yeah.
just wait for an Anivia to get a pick. If Lotus wants to come to you, you're fine with that too. You're going to split off the team. You're going to knock people away with Poppy. You're going to stun people on the walls. You're going to knock people up. They've got a bevy of CC available to them. They're going to follow it up with the auction as well. So they've got 2 physical damage dual threats and then a great scaling mid laner. I'm gushing over this draft right now.
Yeah, actually, quite like you're pointing out, the more I think about it, the better this MSU draft looks. And like you're saying, Gwen and Nautilus depend on going in. Jin has the range, but he doesn't quite deal really well with walking into certain places, so his damage output may be lacking in some instances. And then you have the Ezreal that does output good enough damage from a safe distance, but if he gets caught out ever, or if he doesn't hit his skill shots, he's pretty much inexistent. And Graves is going to have the same kind of thing with Gwen and others because he is short range. So he's going to have to go in to get as much damage possible. And the Braum here and the Poppy as well, being 2 good enough mid shields, as well as having the shield from the Braum, is going to work out so well. And one thing that the Poppy also does great in this composition is denying the immense amount of dashes that Lotus has. Nautilus, Gwen, Grace, even Ezreal all get denied by the Poppy. So you just find so much value with this composition, and you have the scaling advantage as well. You have 280 carries and Anivia, like you pointed out. It's just so good if they can make this work out. If they don't lose the early game like they did in the last game, this composition is going to turn out scary.
And you know what? A big criticism of this composition for Lotus now is now they don't have enough magic damage. Before, where they had a little bit too much.
Funnily enough.
They don't have enough this time, and I don't know how reliable it's going to be. The thing that MSU has to do, though, that they didn't do last game, they have to scale. They have to wait. They have to be patient. They're on their comfort picks, and they've managed to put together a really good team composition. And if they're not able to execute the fact that they just need to farm up, I don't know what they can do.
Yeah, this looks difficult for Lotus. I still feel like they can pull it off if they get a good enough lead, just because if they get the early game rolling, the Graves, the Ezreal, the Gwen are going to hit quite hard. And so one thing that MSU does have is champions that, even though may look tanky in the form of the Poppy and the Braum, the other 3 are quite squishy. So if they get a collapse on, they are dead. They died almost immediately. So that's kind of the point that I can see Lotus taking advantage of and trying to play around with in this game.
I mean, they're going to have to. That's all
they
can do. Yeah, that's all they can do against this team. They don't outscale. Like, they just really don't. The MSU 2 dual threat scaling champions. I mean, Lotus, they've got a lot of upfront damage. So if they're going to win the game, I feel like it has to be through the early game, right?
Yeah.
But even then,
quite literally win it.
Even then, Gwen is not overly strong in the early game. Is strong enough. Jin can be strong enough. I don't know if Ezreal can be strong enough. And they're so low on CC everywhere. Like, is Gwen going to gank for Graves? Is Gwen going to gank for Ezreal? Like, has to go to the bot lane to gank for Jin, right? It's the only option that you have.
Yeah, and even there, it's quite hard to get it down just because Bane has enough mobility to get around the hooks. And then Braum has also enough mobility to get around the hooks because of the jump. So it just looks hard to execute. It's plausible, but it's really, really hard. And like you're pointing out, the lack of CC, this game may turn into one of the harshest conditions for Lotus, because on the other side, there's really good enough, there's really good enough peak potential. You have the Anivia stun, the Poppy into the walls combo with Anivia. You have Bane as well as a combo with the Anivia. So you actually can combo quite well, and you have quite a lot of CC and disengage with the Braum. So it can work out really hard for Lotus. And then with action, you pretty much can deny any advantage that the side of Lotus can get, because if he gets 1 kill in a team fight after 2 members are dead, your team fight is over.
Yeah, and if one of them happens to be Anivia is probably packing teleport this game. I'd be surprised if they weren't.
Yeah.
Okay, like Anivia immediately gets to come right back into the fight. I mean, I don't know. This seems like a very poor composition for Lotus. You talked about it, difficult to execute. We talked about it earlier on. Easy to execute compositions. That's something that I personally love to see teams pull out, because they generally have the highest success rate. There's a reason
Yeah.
why the acronym KISS stands for Keep It Simple, Stupid. I'm not calling, obviously not calling these teams stupid. They're far better than I am. That said, keep it simple. They are going for comfort. They are going for a team composition that melds together well, has plenty of CC. Lotus, this is the ultimate solo queue composition, bro. Like they're
Yeah.
just going out here like it's solo queue, trying to win lane, win game, and in competitive 5v5 play, that just does not work.
Yeah, it's going to be risky. It's plausible. Like last game, I think that MSU had a really good comp and they still couldn't make it work, even though I think that it was kind of easier to pull off. But yeah, like this time around, MSU has such a good composition idea. They have really good ways to play around Lotus. And if they don't fall behind, like it's simply looking so harsh for Lotus to be able to pull off. Namely, they can. They have the caliber to do it. We saw in the last game, but just looks really hard.
They certainly have the skill, but do they have the guts? We will find out shortly as we are in the spectator delay. So do not go anywhere, because when we come back in just a little bit, we will head into Summoner's Rift for the final game of the series between Lotus and MSU. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're here for it. We finally made it onto the Rift, as it looks like the mainstream has come through rating us. Thank you very much, as it looks like that series was done and dusted. But we got a third game coming at you here. It is Lotus versus MSU for the third and final time tonight. Once again, joined by TDS. TDS, this level 1 seems a little bit different than the last few.
Yeah, it's the responsive type of level 1, which I think it's smart as well if you're prepared correctly. And I think that it's good against the kind of composition that the side of Lotus has, because they have a form of engage to play around, and two forms of success with the Nautilus and the Jhin, but they also have enough damage to be able to pull it off. So I feel like if they are not careful, the level 1 may actually change a lot, and just like how it happened in the previous game. So they are prepared for that, and they played it correctly. The only downside to that, obviously, is that you leave open one side of your jungle, you're going to get visioned down here, and a really nice ward by Babs, which means that they will know where the Poppy starts. But it's still a safer way to respond to a level 1, and it's also a proactive one if it actually turns into a level 1 from the enemy team.
And realistically, that is exactly what you want to know. You want to know where this Poppy is starting. The jungle tracking can come up huge to protect your laners, because once again, we talked about the lanes. Heavy CC in the mid lane, in the bot lane. You want to know where this Poppy is at all times to keep yourself protected. You cannot afford to fall behind against a scaling composition like this.
Yeah, you really don't want, and you really don't want to give any type of advantage. Now, with this pathing though from the Poppy and the Gwen, I'm kind of interested in seeing if the Poppy maybe tries to go for a cheeky earlier gank towards one of the mid lane or the bot lane. I don't think it will be the case because she's going wrong, but it would be interesting to see. But it does show that the priority for the side of Lotus is bot lane, and the priority for the side of MSU is to at least give some advantage to the top lane.
Would have been a good time for Poppy to potentially come down, as Trombone trading heavily onto Alistair, and you can just tell the comfort level of Trombone on this champion is far different than on the Jinx. Immediately going in for an aggressive trade.
Yeah, she still needs to be careful about not getting hooked, but certainly showing that she knows how to pilot around, how to use the bout, I think it's called, yeah. Yeah, it's the tumble.
Yes.
Tumble correctly. I confused it with another name.
I was like, what?
I think Bolt is from Diablo, but okay. Like showing that they can use it correctly, and that they will try to use it aggressively necessary or defensively necessary.
So far, so good. Potions burnt from the vein. However, the Jhin has quite a bit of potions in his pocket as he opened with boots. I like that opener, especially against the Braum, doing a better job of being able to dodge the Qs coming out and slowing people around, as the first back has been taken by this bot lane of Jhin and Nautilus. Jhin gonna get a little bit more beef in his build, but so far nothing too crazy has been going on. Anivia is pushed in right now, and Ezreal has spotted out this Poppy. Is Poppy heading toward the top lane? Graves does have the level advantage, looking to just clear out a ward here as this Poppy. This is all they will do after taking the Skull of Crab as well.
Oh, bot?
Uh-oh. Yeah, Gwen from the side on bot lane, in the top lane, Dark Cloak in the area as well. This could be a problem. The Ghost is popped.
What?
Out of the tumble there. Alistair was pushed back. Fourth shot will not land yet. Still has it for Sausage McMuffin. It's 2 kills going over to Lotus. They found 2. It's 1 for the Gwen. It's 1 for the Jhin. And just like that, on the back foot goes MSU.
Yeah, and using a perfect window of timing from not only spotting the Poppy on top side, but also with the immediate back that Alistar and Dancy took in the bot lane. They went with that back at the start, they utilized that to gain the extra stats from the items that they got, and also just the Gwen being able to use the Ghost and the movement speed. They also played around the vision really well, because Gwen didn't show up until they were really pushed, and it was almost impossible to escape. I do gotta say though, that flash hook from Dancy, and I will defend Trombone, that range felt like bullshit, in all honesty. So,
do you know why? I actually know why, because I play a lot of Vayne. So when you tumble, until you complete your tumble, your model and where the game says your character is still in the initial place that you tumbled.
Okay, that's just sad for Trombone then.
Yep.
And convenient for the Nautilus.
Absolutely. Trombone didn't burn flash there, didn't think they had to, and they get punished for leaving their summoners up and just not knowing that they have to be a little bit more reactive toward that.
Yeah, and now a lane that looked promising. Oh wait, Babs doesn't have mana. Okay, he now has.
Yeah, this is a big problem. He's taking a whole lot of damage. Being said, Drops is in the area once again, matching Dark Cloak fairly easily, and it just feels like Drops is one step ahead of Dark Cloak all series long.
Yeah, once again, this game playing around really well with that. And also, I want to point out something. A bird didn't take teleport. So he really cannot come back into this lane unless he gets a good back timing. And I feel like that's a blunder by him. The ghost, yes, it's okay, but if you're already taking Predator, I feel like you don't need the ghost, in all honesty.
Yeah, well, Ezreal did just hit level 6, so while a bird is backing, typically Ezreal doesn't push that fast, but with this ultimate could be able to shove it in. You see on the minimap, Ezreal just burning that ultimate to shove this in and deny a lot of these minions from a bird. They have the map priority, so it looks like they're heading toward the dragon to get the Hextech Drake.
And I think that this, after what happened in bot lane and at this point in the game, really shows that even though the idea from the Poppy was play around top lane, it actually ends up blundering a little bit of the game, because if she was there to respond to the play, maybe things could have looked a little bit different, particularly because of the cancel that the Poppy has in the W.
We will see if this Poppy is able to make hay on anything. So far, Accelerate doing a pretty good job of making themselves ungankable. Gonna force the Poppy to go elsewhere if they want to make things happen.
But if he gets a kill here...
That being said, it may have just cursed him, although Void does too much damage, so that means Accelerate is never going to take a fight.
Yeah, one thing that they can look for a dive here though, if the Void is able to push this fast enough, but he won't be able to though.
All MSU has to do is stabilize for now. That's all they really want and need to do. Chill out, have a good time, farm up a little bit. Bird getting quite a bit of poke down, but it takes so much mana. It doesn't have a blue buff available to them yet, as Dark Cloak on a back. Looks like next time Poppy heads down, they'll get a blue buff on that Anivia, and Anivia will have a bit of a better time.
Yeah, with more mana, it becomes easier to go for those kind of plays. One thing that a bird can do right now really well is that just threatening with the ultimate to push, and the push is never going to get that complicated for the Anivias either. So just being able to respond to the pushes correctly is going to work out really well for a bird. And I feel like you pointed out, being able to slow the pace down of the game right now for the side of MSU is actually quite good. No more kills going down. They are keeping the lead disadvantage into 1k gold. It's perfectly fine. And if they can keep this around for at least 10 more minutes, which I think it's going to be quite hard, but if they can, it's just going to make the game come back into their favor.
Kind of surprised. Poppy took the blue buff.
Yeah, I don't like that. As a mid lane, I hate that.
Yeah, I mean, especially as an Anivia, right? Like, that's upsetting.
Like, with that, it becomes quite easy for a bird to try and go for plays. Oh!
They're trying to go for a play, but Alistair is currently level 6. The flash is burned by Dunzi. So, very good job of Trombone and Sausage McMuffin recognizing, hey, we might be level 5, but we are strong right now. We can try to make a play happen. Good force of the flash, and you know, they still have that aggressive bite to them, even though they died earlier on to the Gwen gang.
Yeah, one stun into the Poppy coming through can set up for a potential kill. And now with level 6 that it's close to come up for Trombone, I feel like there's even more chance for them to look for a fight.
Void and Accelerate once again just duking it out. CS a little even here, but while Accelerate is having a better time with the farm than he was on the Gragas matchup, Void is able to just do plenty of damage to this Graves and make his life a little rough.
Yeah, certainly it's good for Void in a certain sense, but at the same time, like, he's not being able to push his lead or the farm lead that he has gotten, so it's not like he can do quite much. And also, just to point out, Drops stole the red buff from the Poppy again, so it's just putting more salt into injury to Dark Cloak.
Yeah, and you know, the red's up this time around for the Gwen, so it's like, hey, you want to refresh your red buff and just take the XP? You want to give it to Alistair? You want to give it to Ezreal maybe? You've got a lot of options now. That opens up quite a bit for the side of Lotus, and it's just a red buff. You know, it's crazy to think how much a buff like that can really affect how the early game goes.
Yeah, it's actually, with some champions, it's actually much more important. I feel like there's some that you can kind of ignore, but getting the extra what is called extra slow from for the win is actually quite valuable. Even if she has the ghost, it just allows for her sticking power to be even more effective. And we believe that she has, because she already has the Nashor suit completed. She's
got a Rift Herald too, by the way.
Yeah, she has the Rift Herald. One kill that she gets in any lane can mean the whole turret.
Yeah, no plates have been knocked down quite yet, so it might not be a full turret, but it could certainly be quite a bit of a turret. It looks like the hook is going down on the Sausage Muffin, and now joining the party is Drops. Big double knockup, hits one, hits the second one, Root followed up. It's just a replay of the earlier gank, except this time Drops picking up 2 kills. 3-0 and 1 has a shutdown attached to them. The CC layering immaculate from the spot lane. The synergy off the charts.
Yeah, I think it's even worse than the first one, because they didn't even have the chance to blow a flash. They were just stuck in place. They died immediately, and they couldn't answer at all. That was such a well-timed play, such a well-played bot lane gank. And once again, into a bad spot, the wave was crashing towards the bot lane turret, and they were just able to answer correctly. Oh.
Yep, they need to make a play up in the top lane. Holy moly, Accelerate.
That was quick as well.
See you later. A lot of damage coming out from Void and a bird. That's scary to think about. This team does have damage attached to him. The Hull Breaker finish for Auction. And the spoils of the bot lane. Lots of turret platings and the second dragon of the game going to the side of Lotus. It is the Wind Soul as the soul of choice. Don't tell me they're going to do this twice.
Yeah, no, not again. But it feels like that. Okay.
Scouted this one out.
Yeah,
that turret is not very healthy, though.
I'm surprised they didn't take it fully, though. Like, I feel like with the Nashor Stood win, you could have taken it out, but maybe they just, with the lack of minions, they didn't feel comfortable enough.
Right, and I mean, you have to remember, as the turret plates go down, the turret takes far less damage. So, unfortunately, Jin, gated by the fact that he's got 4 shots, doesn't have any attack speed, they couldn't knock down that second plate early enough.
Yeah, maybe I overestimated the damage of the win.
Yeah, I mean, now you take a look, Gwen probably has quite a bit more damage. They opted into plated steel caps this time around, so their plan is just, hey, I'm going to stay away from Anivia.
Yeah. That certainly seems to be the best case. Like, if you, as the Gwen, kill the Bane, I feel like you did pretty much your job, right? Like, if you kill the Bane or the Action, you're doing pretty much your job. Now, you depend on the rest to kill the Anivia.
Gale Force finished up for the Jin. Ezreal farming it pretty well himself. This is scary. There's a little bit of scaling on the side of Lotus. You know, we talked about when Gwen does scale, Ezreal does scale, Jin does scale. Not quite to the level of Anivia and Vayne, but you know, sounds like there's 3 members on one side that scale well, 2 members on the other. Looks like there's a numbers advantage there. Things are gonna get a little weird in this top lane.
Yeah, I would have liked to see. Oh wait, is that?
There comes the depth charge. Drops is gonna take the aggro first. Rooted up is this Auction. He will fall. Nothing he can do. Alistair is gonna pick that one up. Now they're looking to find kills on to Accelerate once again as Darkcloak waiting and willing, just waiting for the minions to fall. But turret platings, they're falling on the top side. This is not an equivalent exchange.
Yeah, unless they kill. Oh.
Yeah, are they going to kill him? Oh, there you go. He gets stunned into the wall. Trombone is going to have to flash forward to pick that up. Darkcloak, no! Darkcloak tanking will die to the turret, so no gold given over to Accelerate, but you would have really liked to have the Poppy here to help push. Maybe would have gotten a plate before they fall, but Trombone and Sausage and Muffin will back with their prize.
Yeah, they also lost the top lane turret, so the overall net gain for the side of Lotus is much higher. And it felt like the side of MSU was forced into that play. Like, they felt the need to force the play to happen, and because they forced it so heavily, the Poppy ends up dying. Luckily, it was an execute, so no extra gold value going into the pockets of the Graves, but still, it looks like a harsh situation. They are 5,000 gold behind to Lotus. They still need time to scale. Anivia just has 1 item. Bane has barely an item. Akshan went for Hull Breaker first, so he's not going to have that item immediately. And these fights that are going to come up soon are going to be harder for them to fight. Like this next dragon, I think that they are probably not going to fight it. Luckily for them, it's a Cloud Soul, but they cannot fight, I think, in the immediate future. At least 10 minutes, I feel like.
Farm and Turtle has to be the name of the game for MSU here. As the gold
Maybe
lead,
one bounty here and there.
yeah, as you said, the gold lead approaching 5K right now. That is not where they thought they would be. However, it looks like they might knock down the turret with some extra gold attached to it, thanks to the objective bounties, as Dark Cloak will find their way out of there. But here comes Dunzy trying to get the angle. Not quite sure if anything's going to be able to happen here, but the turret is low. They could choose to pressure it if they want to, but it doesn't really look like they will.
Yeah, so at least they will not die. They get the extra gold from the bounty, and that's the whole value that you want. There's a lot of members down there in botting, but they need to run away from here. Yeah, what?
Here comes the knockup. It lands onto Dunzy, I should say. Big double knockup there. A root followed up. A trombone pushing forward, trying to pick up some kills here. Dunzy to about half HP. A bird in the area will dissuade drops from dropping that Rift Herald, as that Ezreal ultimate hits 3 people, bringing Trombone to less than 50% HP.
Yeah, it turns out that it wasn't that bad of a play. Oh wait, Dark Cloak. Okay, he's fine.
Yeah, I think everything's fine here, although not a bad trade there as a bird. You can see the damage is starting to get there. Has that Everfrost, has the boots as well, the Sorcerer Shoes.
Oh no, Boyd, run!
Sneaking around, he's going to hook shot his way out of there. It's just a great cheeky ability. You get to go in, you get to go out, you get to do whatever the heck you want.
I didn't play Akshan much when he was released, but recently I got the chance to play a little bit, and that hookshot ability is quite fun. Like it's so enjoyable to run away from people and kill them with the hookshot.
This is an interesting choice here. The dragon has been started up. The Rift Herald.
The turret dies.
Yeah, the turret in the bot lane dies. The Rift Herald in the mid lane. They're gonna send Auction to deal with it. I feel like they could probably give this dragon up, but Anivia's not able to get in there to make anything happen. Ezreal drops the ultimate down, will be knocked away, and here comes the curtain call out of Jhin. Can he thread the needle here? Not quite. But he will force off Dark Cloak as they are very low. Dragon taken by the side of Lotus as they are relentless with the objective control. They are now on Soul Point, 17 minutes in, and they take out another turret.
That was really weird decision making, honestly, because they try to start a dragon, then they then disengage from the dragon, they lose bot lane turret, they lose mid lane turret, and they don't gain anything. They just waste a couple of ultimates. So I feel like if you're going to fight the dragon, you have to fight it. Yes or yes. Like, you cannot just commit half-heartedly and hope that you get a gold by some miracle. I feel like if that was the case, send Akshan towards top lane, get the bounty in the top lane turret, and Akshan has Hull Breaker, so he can push there.
Yeah, you need Auction to start split pushing. I felt like they thought that Lotus were going to all head to the mid lane and they were just going to ride the Rift Herald and then they were going to take the Drake. That doesn't seem like a very worthwhile trade. You want to keep that structure up.
Nope.
But again, it kind of falls into delaying the game. But I mean, Cloud Soul isn't overly threatening. It's really good on Gwen. It's pretty good on Nautilus. It's not really that great on Ezreal, Jhin, or Graves. Graves knocks himself back using his. Jhin has to stand still, and Ezreal also has to stand still.
It's great for Gwen.
Like, yeah, it's amazing for Gwen.
Like, you get super value for Gwen. But yeah, like, if you're going to trade dragons to get something back, you cannot threaten the dragon like that, first of all. And if you're going to threaten the dragon, you at least have to gain some value. Oh, action. Yeah.
Oh, he got cut off. He ran right into drops. Void will fall as they send the Goon Squad up to the top lane, and the response from the rest of MSU could be a little too late as Dark Cloak getting into the thick of things. A bird burning the ghost, trying to make things happen in this fight. Trombone's going to find a kill, and the rest of the team is in hot pursuit. The flash, the wall forces just one flash, but they may have found Accelerate. Alistair, Roots of the Vein, is getting very low. The slow out from a bird as drops comes from an angle. Meanwhile, Dark Cloak in a 1v1 with Babs, but that is not a 1v1 that you win, as the Poppy will fall. Getting pushed away now is the rest of MSU. The curtain call is out. Landing one shot, landing two shots, landing three shots, no shot. They're going to be able to find the Vein. This one's blocked by Sausage McMuffin. And overall, MSU with a good initial response, but in a tough amount, drag them out fight, they lose another member.
Yeah, the overcommitment ends up being bad for them, paying the price. They don't even get the red buff. So it does end up paying a little bit of the price with essentially a 2-for-1. But it's still a nice play that they are able to pull off. It shows that they can answer back. they may lose this Baron. They are not going to fight this. They are really far away.
Yeah, take a look at all of the damage that Lotus has on them. Once again, this Baron is going to go uncontested, and Nivea is not getting there anytime. Wait a minute. Oh, close. Will be taken by drops. The gold lead up to 7K. Are they going to try to fight this? A bird with the Predator trying to get in there. A couple of backs have been made, but nothing you can do. So the Baron firmly in control of Lotus now, and this solo Q-esque team comp is trying to take control of this game, and they're trying to win this third game in the set.
It may be a solo Q-esque composition, but Lotus had... Oh, wait. Okay, she's fine.
Yeah, good job, Sausage McMuffin, doing well to defend the Anivia here, but you can see Babs is doing a ton of damage now. Ezreal once again favoring Trinity Force. It feels like that Mythic Feat once changes every 3 months maybe, and you can see the damage it's putting down.
Yeah, and you see the amount of value that they are gaining. It's been so good for the side of Lotus. Oh wait, Dunzi?
Uh-oh, double knock-up into a singular knock-up. Dunzi got slowed really heavily. Now Dark Cloak in the thick of things. No, that's a double kill waiting to happen. It's only one because of the Anivia egg. That being said, Gwen might have something to say about it. So low is a bird, but Trombone trying to run the fight. The exhaust is out, but it doesn't matter. Alistair will fall. Trombone trying to make the moves, make the plays, but Drops comes through. Shieldbow has been burnt. The wall is there, though, so Trombone can't advance. Void pushing forward, trying to find Drops, but Drops will smite. In order to be able to survive, the ultimate, the comeuppance will not be able to kill Babs. Drops and Babs trying to get out of there as Void still on the hunt. Will finally back off. This dragon spawning in 25 seconds. I do think both teams will be full strength for this last fight, though.
Bane gets the shutdown. That's huge for the side of MSU. And even though the Accelerate is getting the top lane turret, I feel like it was going to die as well anyway, so not a lot of value lost there. This dragon, I feel like MSU cannot fight it. You do not fight this dragon. You don't need to commit for a Cloud Soul. Instead, go farm, get the value back into your pockets. Oh, Dark Cloak.
Well, Drop's going to be in no man's land here, but does so much damage to Dark Cloak.
Drops?
Knock up here. Ezreal coming through, will not hit anybody. Drops, not long for this world. Another shutdown.
No smite, yeah.
Trombone right now with 4 of the team's 6 kills. There's no smite up, as you said. Curtain call out. Are they going to be able to do anything? No. Objective bounty has been claimed. Oh, never mind. He threads the needle. He finds the bomb. It's a big kill for Alistair there.
There were 4 champions there. Just one needed to stun in front. Just one.
You ever watch Kill Bill? I mean, just curved the bullet right there.
I don't think he curved the bullet. I think he curved the champions because everyone else was in nowhere close to that.
Another turret falling as MSU structures begin to crumble before their very eyes. They have 1 turret left standing that is not in their base. It is the bottom turret. They, however, did manage to take that Drake, which is huge. It gives them more time to scale, and they don't have to worry about an Elder Drake just yet.
Yeah, that is important. And I think that's a point that I failed to comment on, and I think that it's crucial because Soul is not a game-winning objective. Like, yes, it does provide you extra boost, and I don't mean only Cloud. I mean every Soul. Every Soul is not a game-win objective. They can provide a boost towards winning the game, but the Elder is an actual game-winning objective. If you get that, there's pretty much 0 chance for the enemy to be able to respond to you. So getting that Elder is crucial, and the fact that they are able to delay it for as long as 10 minutes almost, it's crucial for the side of MSU, because at that point they will be stronger.
Anivia just sitting, chilling in the side lanes, has the blue buff on them. They do nothing but farm up 205 CS and counting. Just a little bit ahead of the Ezreal, but you know what? At this point, you're just looking to keep pace. You're just looking to get items. They're on 2. They have the tier completed. They just got to get their tier item.
Yeah, the tier. Female Winter is not going to be the option here. Archangel is going to be it clearly. And I feel like with that, Anivia is going to get such a boost of damage. Like, if she was already dealing damage, now she's going to be dealing even more. I don't know how far away she is though. I think she's still at least a couple of ways away from that item.
She'll get there soon. Dark Cloak has been spotted out as Drops looking to get in and try to take this red buff away. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Void came up from behind on Accelerate. Accelerate is going to be rooted up, not going to be able to survive. It's a huge shutdown for Anivia, but meanwhile on the top side, Sausage McMuffin has been caught out. He's going to flash, but he's going to get knocked up as well. The first shot will be able to get the kill. Now, is Jin able to land this last shot? Trombone barely able to tumble away. But this mid-inhibitor turret, I should say, may fall very soon. Drops hard focusing it, and they're going to take it down.
Yeah, even though I like the play that they went for in bot lane, they get the shutdown as well from the Graves, because Graves was just had a farming shutdown. I feel like if you just sacrifice the Braum, it's okay, because the Bane is the one that matters. But because the Bane took so much damage, the turret was just threatened, and she couldn't do anything.
Uh-oh, here we go, Trombone dealing with Dunzi on the side. Meanwhile, on the front side of the fight, Dark Cloak is going to have to flash out of there, but will fall, taken down by Alistair. This is exactly where Anivia wants to fight, though, as a bird is going to kill Dunzi. Trombone is so low, though. Ezreal shifting over the wall. He's going to have to flash back over the room onto the Anivia. They've caught the Anivia into the egg. They need to protect this Anivia, and they are. The Braum charging forward, big shield, and a bird will respawn. Are they going to be able to get back into the fight? Babs is going to have to shift away. Comeuppance from the side doesn't do anything, and it looks like MSU, they dig their heels into the dirt, and that's a pretty solid fight for them.
Yeah, that's a really nice advantage. They kill the Gwen, they kill the Nautilus, and even though the Poppy dies, they get so much value out of that. This Baron attempt is quite nice by Lotus, by the way, because when you take the fight, you expect the enemy team to not go immediately for the Baron buff, so it's not something that it's typically seen. The problem is that they don't have a Smite, and the Jhin doesn't deal quite a lot of damage, so this may get answered.
Well, I don't know if they even think
when he's
that
not
Lotus is there. The pings are out.
Poppy's coming, yeah.
Pretty slow. Here they come. This could be huge. There's just under 2,000 HP on this Baron. It's getting lower and lower. Somebody's got to get in there to take it, and it's going to go over to the Jhin, and they're not able to engage this fight. Another Baron going over to the side of Lotus. The gold lead up near 8,000. This dragon spawning in 30 seconds, it will allow time for Lotus to get back onto the map. And you have to wonder, are MSU going to get baited into fighting for this?
I feel like they are. They need to. I feel like they are in the spot where they feel the need to respond with something, even though that something may not be worth it. Also, Gwen is running for the inhibitor, I think.
Yeah. Yeah,
no, she's pushing top lane.
Yeah, she's going for the top lane. They're going to come in from the side. They've rooted up Dunzi. Dunzi's getting stunned up. Not too much they can do. It's a double knock-up. Dunzi trying desperately to get away, and they will be able to. It's wasting a lot of time out of MSU here. Drops, as you said, taking an inhibitor in the top side. Auction needs to try to answer. I don't know if Auction is able to answer. He's up a level. Let's see what he's able to do. He is going to be able to dash out, although Drops going in, Void having to flash. Is Void going to come back in to pick a fight? Meanwhile, Poppy is going to slay the dragon. It's an objective bounty. Alistair trying to delay the backs. It's another inhibitor being taken. The macro play out of Lotus, very strong here. They sack the dragon to get 2 inhibitors.
Yeah, if Bane gets cancelled, okay, no, it's only Poppy. So Poppy will die, I think. No, Poppy's fine. So they lose 2 inhibitors. The overall play, it's better for the side of Lotus, but they are still in a spot where
this is so sketchy. No, never mind. Everybody's here. Drops getting slowed. Babs and Alistair bringing up the rear, so no engagement to be had here as Anivia is just going to try to delay things here. Does not have a blue buff available to them.
Yeah, she's not going to be able to infinitely clear up things. Oh, Void.
Void went to go after Drops, but didn't see that Babs was there, so he's going to have to dash out. This game, they're trying to balance it on a knife's edge right now. MSU, they're being pushed further and further back to the edge, but they are trying to fight back, trying to scale, trying to keep this game alive desperately.
Yeah, and to the point that I was trying to make previously with the 2 inhibitors, that yes, the overall play is better for Lotus, and they will have the opportunity to now pressure even more the base, much more so with the Graves. But the problem is that they still haven't been able to get a meaningful enough advantage. Like, yes, the inhibitors are good enough, but if they are not able to threaten even more with this Baron buff, the game has been so long enough. It's 30 minutes marked. The Anivia is going to get stronger. She's just needs 1 more item, and she will be able to clear the waves even more easily. And the Vayne has 3 items as well.
The real question is a player on the side of MSU going to make a mistake while trying to clear these waves, trying to defend this last turret and these Nexus turrets? Jhin ultimate coming out.
This may be turret.
It's going to do some damage here. I don't know who else he's going to find. He hasn't fired off that last shot yet. Meanwhile, Accelerate trying to chip down the Nexus turrets. Doing a whole lot of damage, although Accelerate getting knocked off as well. The final turret, not named a Nexus turret, finally falls. The inhibitor potentially under siege. Things not looking so hot.
Yeah, now with that last one, that was a good use of the Baron buff, getting the 2 inhibitors. Luckily, they would have gotten the 3rd one. It was going to be easier to push into the base, but it's still the territory where you cannot discount the side of MSU because of how their composition works. Now, obviously, if they give the chance for Graves to ever be alone in base, the game is over.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the hull breaker that he has, he's got 3 items as well. This is a very tough Graves to fight 1v1, although Auction didn't really seem to have too much of a problem with him. Auction just seems to pump out more damage, and right now, I feel like it's hard because you want to say slow and steady, concise macro play out of Lotus is the name of the game here. But if you take too much time, that's going to allow MSU to polish off these items. You see, Anivia is getting closer and closer to finishing, their 4th item at this point. Taking a look, Vayne is now working on their 4th item. Auction as well has a bevy of items available to them. These teams are pretty strong on both sides, even though the gold lead is about 8,000.
Yeah, it's looking closer than it may actually look like because of the with the gold difference, but it's still obviously much more in favor of the side of Lotus. They still have the upper hand, but these item differences aren't that impactful as if they were 5 minutes ago or 10 minutes ago. Right now, there's less of a difference. There's much more chance for the side of MSU to pull through, and I like the Sonja's pickup, if I'm honest, from the Anivia, because if she dies, the game it can be in a pretty tough spot, especially in terms of clearing. So the fact that she gets that extra resistance item to escape any potential damage and survive and give her survivability is really crucial for her.
Absolutely massive, as you said. The focal point of the team. And if you are Lotus, you do not want to fight in any choke points because you saw the last time they fought in a choke point. It didn't go so great for them. And Anivia's only had time to get more gold since then.
Oh, Cloak.
Oh, this is so worrisome, but Cloak able to resist the temptation, resisting the siren's call of walking into the brush.
One mistake can really just give away the game to Lotus if MSU is not careful, so this is just way too much on a knife's edge.
Top lane inhibitor finally respawning. The mid lane inhibitor will be respawning shortly as well. And Lotus, they may have missed their opportunity to make anything happen, although the Baron is coming up, the Dragon is coming up. Void, is he going to try to take that 1v1? He's on the back foot there. It's a little rough. Oh my god, look at the damage that this Graves does to the inhibitors. Auction unable to fight him right now. Graves trying to go back in. He will find the inhibitor. There's some fighting going on everywhere pretty much. And now the posturing for the Baron here. Baron getting lower and lower at about 5,000 HP, starting to regenerate, but they started to back up. Here comes the ultimate out of the gym. They're trying to knock him up, and they knock him out of the fight. Trombone is taking a lot of damage on the side. Bird is going to Zonia's. The ultimate, however, Drops is going to find Trombone. Just like that, they've lost 2 members. Bird trying to fight through 4 members. Here comes the egg. There goes the egg, baby. It's a 3-0 in favor of Lotus. And now, Accelerate. Trying to run away. He's so low. Void can't close out the kill, but Dark Cloak, they're trying to close out the kill, and they are going to find Accelerate, but Babs is in the base. The rest of the team also in the base, trying to cancel the ulti with they canceled the auctions back. They canceled the auctions back. It's just Dark Cloak having to defend against 4. He's going to push Ezreal away, but look, as these Nexus turrets, they fall. They're made out of tissue paper. Dark Cloak will fall. Try as they might. Backs against the wall. And it turns out Lotus was just a little bit stronger, and they take the series 2-1.
Yeah, I feel like not even just a little bit. Like, they played that really, really well. They knew their advantages, and it fell into a point where, yes, they had the composition that I feel was inferior to MSU, but the way that they played it was superior to MSU. They played it correctly in most instances. They took their advantages when they needed to. They pressured correctly. They took a lot of good fights. Yes, some were kind of messy in some instances, and they lose quite a few, but they play the overall game in a really nice sense. And even though there was always that fear in the back of your ear from the fact that there's better skilling from the side of MSU, they played accordingly and they pulled out the game really well.
Try as they might, MSU just did not have what it takes to take down the team I ranked number 1 in the standings. Listen,
You're right.
I had confidence in them all along. I never doubted them for a minute.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about what was
not even
said
an
off of
ounce
stream.
of doubt in your in your
Never,
voice previously. Yeah,
never
never.
an ounce. Alistair 6-1-9, Babs 4-0-5. Listen, we questioned the Ezreal pick, and the Ezreal pick showed up to play. No deaths at all. Played the lane quite well. A bird, was there, just farmed up, did okay. But Babs really not giving away any kills ended up being the difference maker, because if you take a look at the difference in gold here, a bird at 12.2k and Babs had 15k. It's 3,000 more. That's a full item, and you just saw in the end it felt like the Ezreal was a little bit stronger. And in the end, Lotus, they didn't fight any choke points. They figured out,
Yep.
hey, we can't fight in choke points, so we're not going to do that, and it worked out pretty well for them.
Yep, 100%. I do gotta say though that I feel like even though the Ezreal had impact, I didn't really like the way that some of the fights were played against the Ezreal, and even when the Ezreal went a little bit too risky, there was never a chance to take advantage of. I do think that the Ezreal played well, but for me, I think the Gwen really took the cake in this game, because the early ganks towards the Bane, shutting her down, making that bot lane unplayable for them, and then in the later stages, threatening quite a lot the Needle, ironically, against the Bane, against the Anivia. And even though in the last fight it looked quite dicey, she killed the Bane. The Bane was in a really strange spot and she ended up dying, but she kills the Bane, and then they can look into fighting the team fight much efficiently. And I do want to go towards that point in the last team fight, because I feel like MSU played it incorrectly in the sense that they forced the fight when they just needed to kite it out. If they kite that out, they force the issue to be longer, and then the wind doesn't have the shroud. You can then look to try and play around the wall and the poppy, and then probably can win that team fight at the end. But MSU pulls the trigger a little bit too early, and Lotus punishes really, really well and forces the game out really well at the end.
Yeah, the Baron began to regenerate, and then Dark Cloak walked up and autoed the Baron to make sure it was not regenerating HP anymore.
Yep.
And I was like, whoa, this is wild. It put a bird in a compromising position, put them too close to the Nautilus. Nautilus was able to use that ultimate. A bird had to force the Zonias out. And once that happened, Trombone, Savage, McMuffin, they poofed in an instant, and it was just the Poppy and the Anivia against 4 very angry members of Lotus. And let me tell you something. As you said, credit needs to be given to Drops. Drops played 2 really good games this series. Games 2 and 3 really showed up, matched Dark Cloak move for move. Got to give them a ton of credit. And This is a jungler that you need to watch out for, and you might need to start banning Gwen against.
Just like you need to ban Aurelion Sol against a bird, you need to ban Gwen against Cloaks.
Right, you are. But that is it. That is it for week 1 of the BOL Water League. We did it. We made it.
It lasted a little bit longer than maybe we expected, but still, it was fun.
Yep, and that is it for week 1 of our Diamond League, which you can tune in every Monday night at 8 p.m. to see 2 streamed games. But what you can also do is you can tune in tomorrow for the